Hello there, Pokemon Unite trainers and fans. Welcome to the Unity Clash West Finals. I'm Kellosaurus, and joining me today, we have Lobo and Bacon. How are you feeling, Lobo? You are also on the opposite side of the world, to the west, like me, early hours of the morning. How are you feeling, buddy?
You know what, Keela? I've had a little bit of a nap. I've shaken off the sickness I've had this last week, so I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. And I'm really excited to see these West teams throw down today. And it's going to be a great game, a great series of games today.
100%. Now, Bacon, we are in your territory today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Of course, we've got tons of games. We've got 31 teams. Of course, there was 34, but of course, some folks just couldn't make it. But I mean, loads of talent, from whether it's your orange juicers to Dream Max and Nouns, hint at our first game right there. Tons of teams ready for Worlds, getting the, nice little bit of practice, because it is coming up to the end of July. We're only a few weeks away from Worlds. So this is like crunch time in these tournaments, isn't it?
I know, it's only like, a month and a bit until then, which is absolutely insane. But for those folks that are just joining Unity Clash for the first time, or may have tuned in for some of the open qualifiers that we have hosted on the channel, could you give us a little bit of a rundown of how this tournament has worked, Lobo?
Yeah, absolutely, Kilo. So over the past couple of months, we have been running these qualifiers across all of these different regions, across EU, across NA, across all of the Asia regions. And these teams have been fighting for this spot right now because we are here for day one of the NA final. So we are just here. There is another full day, and we are going to see these teams compete at the very start of this tournament. It is a best of 3 double elimination tournament. So even if they go down, they still have some time left in the losers bracket. But it looks like we're getting our games started straight away with Nouns Esports versus Wit Team. Guys, I'm going to pass this off straight to you as we're looking into the ban phase.
Ban phase, Kello, is looking pretty standard at the moment. No Blaziken, no Phalanx. They've been the two that you kind of want to avoid. On the opposite end, we saw this, over an Elite Tour, a little self-plug, I guess. Slowbro and Mimikyu kind of being little problem children at the moment. Leafeon we saw banned by Nouns. This is the first time we've seen them play. And of course, it is the homeboy off the channel, Ghatlue. That's the first one to pick them up. I'm wondering what Leafeon can be doing in this current meta.
Oh, I feel like it's just that evolution phase at level 4, the early ambush potential that the Leafeon does provide. However, I think Wit Team have answered back quite well to this Leafeon, picking themselves up a pretty trusty defender, being that of Trevenant, but also an evolution of their own, which also goes in for those early ambushes, whether it's in the bottom or the top lane.
Yeah, high sustain at the moment is incredibly high meta, hence why you'll see a ton of all-rounders, but at the same time, Sylveon is brilliant, Trevenant is way back in the mix. But Cramorant, when we're talking about high sustain, Cramorant has just kind of risen to the top as a brilliant ranged attacking option, and it's great fun to see in the mix. Blissey is super stable, just an all-round great middle pick here. When you're not really sure what support you want to be running, they're always going to get the job done. Eldegoss as well on the opposite end. I talked about the all-rounders. Well, there's Metagross, probably one of the kings of the all-rounders at the moment.
Oh, the shielding and the tankiness that Metagross provides in the current meta. I mean, I wouldn't know if I would say it's undefeated, but it's definitely going to be a hard one to handle, especially great into Leafeon. While it does have a lot of burst, if you're able to just get that shielding and take those hits, it should do wonders for them. However, the last 2 picks for Nouns, we do have Soraya picking up Delphox and Mr. Mime for Bruv. Probably one of the best Mime players we have throughout Unite.
Yeah, and it's funny, Mime just getting some sort of like small buffs recently, but it's actually probably going to be the shields, the different barriers that we're going to be throwing up here to near enough work away the opponents, segregate the team a little bit, especially when you've got that Leafeon wanting to attack from the rear. But talking about the rear, you're going to have both your Cramorant and Delphox a little bit backed up. So Mime working as a sort of pseudo defender is really nice for this comp.
Yeah, just getting those final preparations underway, making sure everybody has the correct items equipped. We can see that, yeah, supporters both having the experience share, so going to be split up between the lanes. Also, Trevenant and Eldegoss having that as well. So I'm assuming we'll probably end up seeing Sylveon maybe take one of these buffs, and then one of the other ones will probably end up going to, say, Metagross or Chandelure, which will be heading into lane. However, I'm probably expecting the same over the side of Nouns. We'll probably have that Fennekin in the lane earlier on, and then Sorayu taking one of those buffs and then handing it off. But I don't know, here we are. We are about to begin our first series of the Unity Clash of Finals. This is what we have been waiting for, and I'm really, really excited to see all of these regions clash today. However, we have that internal clash. EU versus EU.
That's it. Like, we have been absolutely fighting out for the last 3 weeks essentially to get these spots to the main event. Of course, Asia is going to be next weekend, folks. This is entirely looking at EU, NA, LATAM North, LATAM South, Brazil, and of course that sort of Mexico / Central American region in that LATAM North, which for me is the very exciting one at the moment. Hoenn going up against Kraken over on Unite Battle Hub, but here it is an EU showdown. Nouns Esports versus Wit Team. Who's going to come out on top? You don't want your home region to lose it straight out of the gates, Kello, but I mean, this is just how the seeding fell.
Well, I guess a little bit of background as well. Nouns is actually one of the invited teams to the Unity Clash, considering their placement in the UCS. So Wit Team did participate in the open qualifiers. Mind you, I feel like looking at the brackets, they didn't do too well. So coming up against such a tough opponent for the first match of the day, that one is a pretty tricky one there.
Well, you got to think as well, right? If you're not one of these invited teams, essentially, you're not one of the teams that are going to Worlds. You're in this weird limbo at the moment of off-season where you've got teams that are still being very serious, still cramming for Worlds, but then you also want to break up, find new teammates, maybe, you know, form as a trio from your previous team this season just gone, maybe find another two. You're trying to figure out, get ahead of the curve for next season, and so tournaments like this where you have got, near enough, the powerhouses in EU like Nouns, they're a perfect benchmark.
Yeah, perfect benchmark for these regions. However, we've had, I guess, the same song and dance first 2 minutes of the game. We did have that Leafeon being able to go and successfully ambush that top lane, and I think they were able to pick up quite a fair bit of experience because we already have 2 level 6s on the side of Nouns. We do have Sylveon, who has reached level 6 on Wit Team. However, we are going to collaborate for these central Swablu and Altaria spawns. Sylveon has selected that Hyper Voice build as well to just try and shred on down. However, I think Nouns Esport have a lot of maneuverability on their team, so going to be really tricky for that Sylveon to lock on down.
TX for me is very high risk, high reward, running both choice specs and special specs, of course, those wise glasses, alongside the energy amp, trying to get as many Unite moves as possible alongside as much damage as possible. You should expect to see Hyper Voice up near enough 24/7 for them in the later game, but their big focus was trying to get to level 6 early game. You can see their XP is just falling away. They do finally hit 7, but they need to be continuously hammering and keeping that level curve, because Sylveon, if you don't have that level of advantages, can just feel a little bit lackluster at times.
Yeah, especially going into the counterpart, the Leafeon, who has just ticked over to level 8, now doesn't have its Unite move for these first objective spawns. However, looking at the mini-map, it's only a 2v2. We do have some other members funneling on down from Wit Team to try and slay down this Regirock, while Leafeon is just waiting in that tall grass for the perfect moment to go in and use their Unite move. Can they dive on in? Yes, they were able to chip away at that Chandelure, send it back to the Pokemon Center. However, they also end up getting KO'd themselves, and now Regirock is going to get leashed and go in for a reset here.
But notice that this is all just a big old bamboozle on the top path. The rest of Nouns are getting into the fight. Cramorant, Delphox, and Blissey looking to do massive damage, but the Cramorant unleashing the Gulping Gatling missile is going to just fend everyone away. Reggie Alecki finds that tier 2 goal. They're kind of playing pseudo score comp right now. The Leafeon is back in play, not not going to be able to beat the Chandelier to the Reggie Rock, making this Wit Team, which are already somewhat sustainable and bulky, even bulkier. But Nouns, don't worry. They're like, sure, you've got the objective, but we're just going to steal your farm, take away all the wild Pokemon, and buff our levels up via that route.
Yeah, and this is really going to hinder Wit Team a lot, considering we still have that Chandelure and that Metagross without those trusty Unite moves on hand. It's just a battle for the experience at the moment, considering there's already 3 Unite moves available on Nouns Esport. Even though Leafeon ended up using it at the first objective, they already have it back.
If you've seen Nouns in any other tournaments, they're kind of trying to build up this comp where they don't fight Ray. Essentially, they don't want it taken. They'll look to get picks and really stall out that late last 2 minutes. And right now, as we're seeing everything really bulk up, you can see Unite moves are ready for Nouns. They'll probably look to take this pivot towards the bottom path and destroy this tier 1 goal.
Just gotta try and create some space, get some more points on the board. We do have a bit of a dive on here. Trevenant trying to make it on out with that Horn Leash, able to grab themselves a berry to just replenish that HP pool, getting ready for this huge defense. A great isolation onto that Mr. Mime. Bonk it on the head to get the stun. However, Nouns Esports are pushing on forward with that great fanciful fireworks onto the tier 1 pad to just go and get these dunks raining on in Bacon.
Looking to also get a few little scores. He'll be left with 3. This could be a he'll be left with 2, sorry. This could be a beautiful little 38 over dunk. Look at that lead. This is what I'm talking about. They now, if they can keep it like this, don't even need the Ray with a healthy little lead like that. But Reggie Lecky is back on the top half. Bottom Reggie will be joining us in around about 10 seconds. So you've got to be careful. Nouns, while they have a massive lead right now, there is still 2 minutes and a ton of catch-up farm for Wit Team.
Yeah, it looks like the priorities have shifted here for Wit Team. Instead of prioritizing that basement Reggie that we saw first time, they're going for that Reggie Alecki, considering that will be heading towards that T2 pad. But it's also just trying to create a bit of pressure in one of these lanes so they can get some momentum, because currently 320 to 12 points.
Well, you don't want to give Nouns 2 tier 1 goals to fight from in these early stages. Showtime from the Mime, trying to just push everyone back. Don't let them score. Don't let them get that Reggie Alecki close to goal. Cramran is very far forward here, but the Reggie Alecki does push through. You can now see Wit Team just run it to the goal. Let's destroy it. Don't let them have something to fight from. Now we're pushing back towards the second tier goal, but Wit Team have got to be careful. They need to bail out right here. They are super low. TF's picking up a ton of Air's energy, but it's going to be the Cramran picking up a double KO streak.
Yeah, 3 members of Wit Team are now down. Reggie Rock going over to the side of Nouns, giving them that defense and special defense buff. And once again, we saw this earlier. Once the members are down, they're just going to go in for the little bit of an invade and try to starve Wit Team from getting their Unite moves, getting their necessary levels. However, Leafeon does end up using their Unite move after that 3-minute mark, but we know how quickly it does get it. But yeah, that was a great use of the eject button to dodge that Emerald 2-step.
Yeah, Leafeon a very fast recharge on that, and it's going to be, you know, hyperactive essentially with both the Baltoys back in their own central area farm. They'll look to get another fight if they can get a KO. They're not going to have any issue getting that Unite move back online. Whereas Wit Team here, after receiving a couple of KOs, they'll reset their cooldown, sure, but they're just having to hold on to these moves. These Unite moves can't be used right now, and they're kind of in a weird jail.
That was 2 great pickups from Nouns. And I guess this is just the brilliance of the crowd control that Cramorant provides with that Hurricane move to just chuck him up into the air, and then paired up with Delphox's moves as well. They just have that poke. Trevenant seeing if they can try and bait out the team. However, they were able to use that eject button back to safety and not get KO'd because of that risky maneuver.
But the issue is that eject button is now burnt. 70-second cooldown. They're not going to get it once again. You can see this Mime, bruv, is hunting single targets, wall them off from the rest of their team and sort of squeeze them together. Perfect pickings for Toonslim on the Delphox with that flame charge. Is doing absolute bits.
Yeah, just being able to stop that Chandelure from retreating back home and the Trevenant so they could get their full HP. However, this ambush from the Leafeon, the Unite move was able to chip away a lot of damage. However, they weren't able to pick up the KOs. A sneaky back cap here from Sylveon going to put 88 points on the board. However, Nouns Esports still have the lead. 1 minute left to go here at Bacon. Leafeon trying to get a dunk of their own. They were able to empty out all of the Aeos energy though.
Yeah, a small little dunk as well, however, by Nouns puts him back with a nice little comfortable lead. Look at this from Toonslim, though, trying to just charge everyone away. Trevenant will fall. Chandelure's got to be careful here when you've got a Leafeon right around you. Fanciful Fireworks covering the goal. Don't allow anyone to step on that and deny you. And Nouns, once again, have just got such a healthy lead. TFs with the Hyper Voice sure is doing damage to Toonslim, but Toonslim being able to just flame charge, dodge out of the way, doesn't give a darn. And well, White Team know the deal. They have to forfeit with 30 seconds still left on the clock.
Yeah, Nouns Esports, they didn't even bother with the Rayquaza there. Instead, realizing that 4 members of Wit Team and that Sylveon being preoccupied by Toonslim there, they were able to go in and get in some dunks in that home base. 502 to 194. That is a great warm-up for the first set of the Unity Clash.
I mean, you say it's a warm-up. With these two teams knowing each other, though, they had to give full respect. And it's just the idea of Nouns. We win the large majority of the early game. We carry that through into the mid game. Late game is going to be a struggle. When you look at the members there, Cramorant, Leafeon, and Delphox are all kind of squishy, so they've got to be careful. They've got to be split up, however. They can't, huddle up for a little bit of unity and warmth, because Metagross, as soon as they get too close together, let's just say 3 within range, Metagross will just absolutely demolish them by throwing them all together. You know how much that Hyper Voice can do. You know what Chandelure can do. So Nouns are just making sure to keep communication and their natural team chemistry with one another at the highest level it possibly can be, so that they can really stall out and negate whatever Wit Team want to throw at them.
I think it was just also the aggression that Nouns was able to demonstrate whenever they did have those KOs the lead. They instantly went and took the blue and red buffs away from Wit Team, just starving them of experience throughout this match. But even then, just playing so far forward, not even in the Rayquaza pit, to take this final stretch and ended up just taking the win. 3 KO streak for that Cramorant because of that Unite move as well. But you know what, Bacon? It is a best of 3 here, so it isn't over for Wit Team just yet. However, moving forward, I guess looking at the team compositions, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Nouns Esports composition was quite squishy from the get-go, especially, going into Trevenant, going into Metagross, who do have a little bit more bulk to them. But I think their maneuverability, the choice of the Flame Charge Mystical Fire for Toonslim was just unparalleled, because they were able to get out of the Hyper Voice. So I'm wondering, would Mystical Fire Sylveon, would that have been a better choice here?
That would have been, especially with the debuffs applied from each little mystical fire. But when you're talking about it with Nouns, they have got so much mobility there. And then sort of the Blissey feels like a little bit of a weird choice, right? When you look at this squad, most people would be like, it's been a while since we've not seen Hooper feel like a forced pick. But Blissey and Mime are acting as your tanks. It feels a little counterintuitive considering they are support, but it's just their way and how they're set up is perfect there. The rest of the team mobility, like we said, making sure that you're not grouped up, it works for the squad. On the opposite end, I feel like you needed to kind of run an assassin to this team to really deal damage. That's what I'm talking about. Your Zoroark, Dotrio, a Talonflame would have been great here to finish them up and near enough try and get into the back lines. Really near enough make that squishy hurt right there. But going into the second game, it's going to be difficult. You can see Wit Team already banning the Hooper away. They're just trying to cover their bases, but the Slowbro for me is the weirdest ban, and it feels like it's more they know that that's what could really hurt them. A slow beam to one of their players would just absolutely decimate that kind of team comp. Even a Telekinesis, Scold, Surf, the entire Slowbro set is perfect against what Nouns want to play.
Yeah, exactly. So get rid of it. You don't need to deal with it. However, a really strong contender in the meta right now for Lynx, once again receiving a ban along with Blaziken as well. So too much of a threat. I mean, definitely some food for thought from you there. Whether I guess Wit Team are gonna choose more of an assassin type style Pokemon this time round instead of the Chandelure. I guess with Chandelure, yeah, it does need a great front line there to get the burn and everything. However, you know, I guess it just struggled to really get online. But first pick for Wit Team, Sylveon once again. So,
Oh, this is clever. I was about to say, you could drop the Eldegoss or the Chandelure and pick up an Umbreon here for mean look. And that is perfect. Nouns know that themselves and have sort of snatched it away, TX. In response, we know TX is great on the Leafeon, so they're picking it. So Katara as well, once again picking up Trevenant. And now you're kind of split. What this Nouns team is wanted to do between the two squads, and you're gonna see this weird evolution. So are you picking up the Zoroark? Oh, brilliant.
oh, that is so scary. And the Comfey Pocket as well. And we have seen this in the competitive side from time to time, and it is an absolute machine to go into.
And that also leaves Nouns with that last pick is kind of free. You can Pixel here is just trying to deal with Toon Slim. That is essentially the idea. You go into the deep lines. If you can catch the Zoroark on their own or the Comfey detach, that's when you pounce on them. But it's kind of difficult right now. This last pick, I'm really curious about what Ghatlue wants. We could see him Mime again. That would be fine. But I feel like they need something like a Lucario. A big sort of like just damage dealer. Blastoise with the serves. Hydro Pump probably as well. That's not too bad.
Yeah, and we have actually seen Ghatlue play Blastoise in the top path throughout the UCS season as well. So definitely a Pokemon that they are quite confident with, acting more like that all-rounder type style rather than defender. I mean, you know, you do have the experience shares on the Umbreon and the Comfey. However, looking at his build, he has Slick Spoon, Muscle Band, and Focus Band. So really just that all-rounder style instead of picking up an all-rounder themselves.
I mean, that's just because Blastoise is so good. Plus, its Unite move, Hydro Typhoon, bang for buck, is so good. I could be intrigued. It's not going to be Rapid Spin, folks. I would love to see Rapid Spin come back into the fold, you know, but it's not really going to be. It's interesting whether we do see Hydro Pump or it's going to be, Scald? War Spout, sorry, drop down, but I'm thinking Hydro Pump at the moment, if they can just find wolves on it. But in that top path, that's where Blastoise loves to be.
Yeah, I think I've generally seen Ghatlue play the Hydro Pump Rapid Spin build, and I think it's the Rapid Spin is, I guess, it's hindrance resistant, right? But then looking at Wit Team, they don't really have much hindrance resistant on their side besides the Trevenant Hornleech. So it'll be really interesting to see what Ghatlue does end up going here. However, I have my eyes on Sarayu and Adesu here. The Zoroark Comfey duo, whether they're going to play aggressive from the get-go, we'll have to wait and see. But here is the second match of the day for the Unity Clash West Finals. Wit Team, your purple side, Nouns Esport, your orange. Nouns do have the advantage here with that 1 point advantage, 1 point up.
Optiboo will be playing Mist and Fire. You can see from their setup. They should then be pretty comfortable then. But like you said, if you do run Rapid Spin Ghatlue here, there's nothing that's going to be able to stop you. Like, Trevenant's not going to be able to pull you out of that Rapid Spin. But like we said, with that setup, sure, they've got a little bit of bold, a little bit of HP, but you would want to near enough be running a stack in Blastoise if you're going Rapid Spin. Really amp up with an Eos Cookie. This is bold from Adesu to go that deep with a Comfey, but still early days, and Leafeon wasn't there just yet.
I mean, it's Adesu here. They know their limits. Having Sarayu there to latch onto instead of going and ambushing this top path, they now have 4 people down bottom. Usually we see this up in the top, which is kind of crazy.
Well, again, this is because they know that level 5 Sylveon is there. They're trying to really hammer it home. So this will be a more objective-focused game if they're trying to already get rid of that bottom goal. Brilliant. You can already see the chance. Maybe get a few stacks in. But at the same time, they know Squirtle is so good on this early game that they can just near enough hold away their opposition. And they're already going in for chunk invades. Massive.
Yeah, it's not even the 8-minute mark, a minute 30 into this match, and they are already going and starving Wit Team from those buffs, not allowing Leafeon to level up. They do have the 3 level 5s over on their side, but having a level 7 Cramorant and a level 7 Zoroark before these first... these Swabblers and Altaria spawns in the mid is kind of wild, and they already have set up. They're not even going to give a chance for Wit Team to soak up any of that experience.
Trevenant, though, does steal away the red buff. That gets him to level 5, and say you calm down with the free KO streak, just annihilating Wit Team from that top path. They were looking like they might destroy the bottom goal, but who knows? They pivot up, destroy the team on top, and now that top tier 1 goal is looking mighty feeble.
Yeah, I mean, it's 130 points already on the board. 6 points left over down on that bottom pad. So definitely the potential for a big overcap, or even to just go and break it with, whatever points they have to just go and create that space before these first objectives do spawn. However, Sorayu and Adesu, they're not letting up. They are just giving TFs a run for their money there, needing to back on up onto that tier 2 pad. Not a care for these flux zones here at all, are they, Bacon?
No, but again, that's because of these mad dashes that Sorayu has. Notice as well, funny enough, is the Comfort of Adesu the only one running a score comp item in the special specs on that Comfort. So Sorayu is just near enough doing these little scores purely to help out their attached little hula hoop ring.
Oh, being able to get the 5 points in before the 34, that is going to be a 33 overcap down in that bottom pad. Nouns Esports were able to pick themselves up a Regirock along with a Regieleki, because it's left on 24 points. Ghatlue's going to be able to go in and get a 36 overcap. 13 points to 229.
I'm sorry, that Cramorant chasing down a Leafeon is disgusting because of the 3-level lead. They just do not give a darn and just chase them down. Toon Slim just worrying about the farm, make sure to get that XP there, because you know what, Ghatlue's got a low level lead himself, is a mighty bulky Blastoise. They can handle getting hit at, but 2-3 different opposing Pokemon.
Oh, this is a tough one here, I guess. For Wit Team, they're really just going to have to try and buckle down, get whatever experience they can over on their side. But, I mean, looking at their side of the mini-map, it's pretty much bare bones there. As Sorayu is looking for another target here, whether they're going to be able to get an isolation, they do have Bruv by their side. So, potential here.
4 stacking like this is really good for Wit Team. Heck, it's more like a 5 stack. They need to get these knockouts here, and now though they need to get rid of Toon Slim. Does not fall. Actually gets the Eldegoss and is able to dive away. It just all falls to tatters for Wit Team, one after another. There's the Trevenant falling, and you can see Nouns have really got just such a great flexible adaptability about themselves when things look really dire. When they feel like they've just been caught out, they suddenly then utilize, the Unite moves of the Blastoise there, give themselves a little breather, give a little stun, a little knock up, and that means it all turns on its head.
Yeah, so we do have the objective spawning down in that bottom part. Wit Team aren't going to worry about it. Instead, they're going to focus all of their efforts onto the wild Pokemon that are on that side. However, a Registeel buff for Nouns Esports, as if they weren't strong enough already, and that has allowed Sorayu to reach level 13 as well. So they have both of their plus movements, and the cooldowns are going to be reduced, so more slashing and dashing to come.
Doesn't rain, but it pours. Game 1 gave us an idea of how Nouns wanted to play. Game 2, they seem to have cranked it up to 11. Talking about 11, not anyone from Wit Team even there yet, while she got a level 13 twice over on the side of Nouns with Cramorant and Zoroark, as they just look to feather the line, making sure that they don't go overextending themselves. Blastoise might be able to go find a flank here, however.
Yeah, coming in from that back line there. However, Trevenant is caught out, but Saray was able to utilize that full heal to avoid getting crowd control. 3 members of Wit Team are down, and Saray is looking for a 4th, able to take down Leafeon. Mimikyu isn't even in sight, which means Nouns Esports are able to just go and destroy this bottom tier 2 pad. Once again, they are just on an absolute roll right now.
I mean, Soraya is looking like they'll be level 15 by Ray fight. They might even just take Ray for giggles, you know, like just a little bit of fun, cheeky little plays. There's Hydro Typhoon once again knocking TX up, but TX has got to be careful. Blastoise put them really low. Zoroark, Umbreon, and Cramorant all looking to just steal the central area farm. They don't care anymore about the opposing team. They won't fight them. They'll just let them linger about and just watch them steal, snatch away that XP from them.
Like stealing candy from a baby here. Just, you know, there's not much that Wit Team can really do when those, you know, they come to take away those buffs. But the snarl play there to just go and avoid the Horn Leech. Bruv, not getting hindered at all. However, we do have a Reg Ice that has spawned here. Probably not the best basement Reggie that you'd like to see before the Rayquaza fight. However, 20 seconds left to go. 2 members are down. Cooldowns are quite low. Nouns Esports, they are going to take the opportunity to take this. However, Leafeon looking to, you know, get that prime positioning if they can.
I mean, catch-up XP, you've still got to be very careful. If they can somehow get a pick on Cramorant, they can just pull someone apart. Umbreon is going for a home base back cap. I take everything I would say about they are just having fun.
I mean, the thing is, this could be a risky maneuver here if they're able to get an isolation. However, Ghatlue just being a great defender, using that Hydro Pump to go and save Soraya, who's able to dash on out. Unite moves are going to be popped on out. The Cramorant spitting out those fish to try and just whittle down Wit Team here. 2 members are down for Wit Team. No members are down for Nouns Esports though, Bacon.
Cramorant was literally a sitting duck there with their Gulpin Gatling missile, you know? And they still couldn't do it. Cramorant going to get the final hit amongst the Hydro Typhoon on the Ray, and Wit Team are going to be gobsmacked here. It felt like nothing could go their way in this game, but that's because Nouns came out with such a strong game plan. This is a scary first round of a tournament.
And this is probably why they are considered one of the best teams in the EU region. One of the invited teams that we do have for the Unity Clash, but there is the end result. 498 to 13 points. Zeros across the board for Wit Team. They were not able to pick up any KOs whatsoever besides the 13 points from that Trevenant.
I'm going to say I think Mimikyu was not the pick for this play. Don't get me wrong, Pixel is a fantastic player, but it just didn't really get into the backlines like what they wanted. Toon Slim, with dive on Cramorant, is just able to get away, and I feel like they needed some sort of force to really pull them together. Now, what Pokemon would that have been? I don't really know. A Surfer like Slowbro would have been nice, but of course, you know, that was already taken away. Maybe trying to go in for the Blastoise earlier would have been great. The Umbreon, it's difficult. You know, like, there is no clear choice for Wit Team to be able to, I would say, necessarily counter this, other than something that can just pull them apart. But, you know, Nouns came in with the bans for that. Wit Team kind of banned a couple of those options away, so it's super difficult.
Yeah, it was just the aggression as well, just not allowing Wit Team to get their levels, being able to pick their fights as well. While they were aggressive in that sense, it's, you know, they took those buffs and then they just got out unscathed, knowing, okay, we could probably win this fight, but I guess Nouns just didn't really bother with it. But congratulations to Nouns for progressing on through. Today, though, for Unity Clash, it is a double elimination, so it isn't over for Wit Team just yet. They are going to get sent down into that lower bracket. Whether we'll end up seeing them again, however, we'll wish them all the best. But I guess, you know, as we do get set up for our next match, we are going to take ourselves a quick break, and after that, bring Lobo back into the fray as well. So sit tight. We'll be back very soon. The clash with a big bang. A great warm-up for the day for the West Finals. Nouns progressing on through, Wit Team heading into the lower bracket, but folks, it isn't over for the action just yet as we have our second match about to begin. We are going to be featuring BH3 up against Nemesis from NA region, who is one of the invited teams. Now, BH3, Bacon, I think you already know who this team is. A little bit of info here.
Yeah, ex-Cinco Guillermo, everyone, of course, knows. Just one of the French powerhouses, really, here in EU, going up against Fluffy Nemesis, essentially old Nemesis, but they got picked up themselves as well. So, this is going to be an interesting one, because this is kind of like, maybe not the very top of NA or EU, but definitely the teams that are fighting for second best, maybe third best, you know. So this is a really exciting kind of angle for us here, especially this early on. Both teams are going to have to be cautious with each other, but we'll also be able to see what does EU Unite look like compared to NA Unite right now.
Oh, I guess this is the place to find out, right? Because it is the clash of the regions. So, you know, yeah, we had EU going up against EU last game, but I guess this is where things really start to get spicy and whether, you know, we'll see the clash of metas come on out. I mean, BH3, they did achieve second in the open qualifiers, so they are quite a strong team for their region. Lobo, do you have any, I guess, thoughts on either of these teams?
Look, like in all honesty, for me, it's just knowing these teams. I'm slowly starting to pick up on these teams' names. I'm slowly starting to pick up on the players that we're seeing on these teams, because you know most of my exposure when we get to cast these games is mostly in our OC region. But getting over the Unity Clash, getting to get accustomed with these teams, not only from EU and NA, and also all these Asia regions. Now I'm picking up on these players and these and the styles and everything else like that. So for me, I'm actually genuinely excited to see the clash of styles between two regions, because that's something that we not really get to see a lot of unless we're looking at tournaments like Worlds, where we get to see those clash of region styles. And whatever's picked up in EU, whatever's picked up in NA, I'm really keen to see how those two come together. And like Bacon said, obviously I didn't know these teams they're not vying for that top spot. Like every team is vying for that top spot, right? But you know, even just to see those teams, like what are they going to do from what we're seeing here to, like we mentioned at the start of the broadcast, where Worlds is not too far away. It's lovely and amazing to see the progression between these tournaments and that. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I always love seeing standout players. And I like to see, I'm slowly starting to understand what players play what, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's the most exciting thing for me when it comes to especially games like this.
I feel like I need to quickly put my hands up and be like, I don't mean hate towards these teams. They could win it all, you know? I'm not saying like, don't worry about these guys. Yeah. I'm just saying like, that's currently like, if you were to do power rankings, right? And that's where something cool, like a tournament like this can really be the making of these teams before Worlds, to get them ready. Because again, like we said, we know a lot of these teams are going to Worlds, so this is their sort of like little taster to be able to see how these other regions play. And when we look at Fluffy Nemesis, we got to look towards one player, Metallic. Can you remember, like, has just been the absolute rising star this season in NA for UCS. And so we've got sort of like these little bit of still, I would argue, inexperienced players, you know, when it's your first year within an esports scene, right? To now get even more experience and more chances to play against other regions. And I think BH3 are a team of grinders as well that will be absolutely using everything from this tournament to make themselves as strong as possible.
Yes, 100%. We have seen Fluffy Nemesis throughout the season, and, you know, all of the things that they have achieved. I guess in terms of Cinco Guillermo, we mainly see them participate in the Unite Battle Hub scene and everything. So, you know, if you do go and watch the EU qualifiers and everything for that, you would be familiar with them. But I guess for those folks that aren't familiar with either team, as we do get set up, we'll quickly go through the names. So on Fluffy Nemesis, we have Rex, Asinable, Trainer LGC, Yeet Fan, and of course, Bacon did mention Metallic. On BH3, we have Fizzy, the N, Amanda Wu, Greg, and Volto. Volto does ring a bell.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the other players. How about yourself, Bacon?
So for me here, N will be N or Fizzy. They can sometimes like bounce between who's going to be on support. That's always exciting for BH3. But Volto, I think for most people, is going to be the one to watch out for and see what they'll bring. Like, you know, way back in season 1 of UCS, known for really trying to mix it up with and be in the fray with, like, you know, your Lucario maze and all of that. Great all-rounder there. Over on Nemesis, I mean, we brought up Mechanic, but the whole team, I think we know Gamma's observing today. If we didn't bring up Trainer, he'd probably, you know, slap me around the back of the head because, like, there is so many good players on Nemesis here.
So many standout players, and I guess this is why they are one of the world's qualified teams here. So very, very excited to see what shenanigans they do end up bringing to the table for the Unity Clash as we are getting these teams ready. I guess, is there anything that we are expecting here in terms of meta Lobo? We've already seen, I guess, Blaziken and Phalanx bans in the last set. Do you think there's probably any thoughts moving on forward?
Look, I've said it every single cast that I've done for Unity Clash. I love seeing my little ghost puppet. I love seeing, but it has unfortunately locked itself in a ban at jail. But I love this idea with this meta. Obviously, we have the Blaziken, we have Phalanx, we have Gyarados, so powerful. We have Leafeon, completely different moveset of meta that we're seeing now with the Razor Leaf combination as opposed to the Solar Blade combination. We had seen Blaziken come on in as well. But these mons are now being also locked into that ban jail. So now these teams have to come up with completely new things. And this is, Bacon mentioned it a little bit earlier in our broadcast, but the rise of Cramorant is something I did not see. It's something I did not know. I haven't even, like, correct me if I'm wrong, if it got a buff or a nerf or something. But I think people, with the way this meta has developed over our last balance patch, people have decided that they're going to play Cramorant a different way with the Hurricane Dive moveset, not only providing Cramorant with amazing mobility, but also an incredible CC stun, as well as that Unite move. The versatility that is now coming out of that Unite move to not only zone out, but also to apply a lot of damage and reposition with the use of an eject button or whatnot. That is something that I didn't see. It's not something that I thought a lot of people predicted. People were very confused by it, but we've seen how effective Cramorant has been. And then also we saw last time a few Mamoswines come into the fray. Not the best, like not the most popular defender that's been used, but again, these players are finding the versatility around these mons.
All right, we have our game ready, folks. Nemesis on the purple side, BH3 on the orange side. I am going to leave you with your casters, Lobo and Bacon, to break it all down.
So, Lobo, back in May, it was actually, Cramorant did get a buff. It was Dive getting buffed from 6 seconds to 5 seconds on its cooldown, and Hurricane, a massive ratio of its damage, being buffed from 103% of its special attack to 120, and then just the base attack getting absolutely raised through the floor. So, whilst for me, being a bit of a filthy scrub in ranked, I'm still going to run Air Slash with Dive.
Yeah.
Hurricane is the better move, and it is just those little power buffs alongside Unite move, like I said, great for zoning, which has really brought Cramorant to the top. Now, at the same time, because we're seeing, like, you saw it from the Nouns game, right? Blaziken is scary at the moment. All rounders getting right into the fray. Umbreon, for the longest time, has been one of the top bans. If you don't ban it, you want to pick it for your team. Slowbro, because of how teams are currently playing around, we know the threat of that Zoroark Comfey. Slowbro, just with that lockdown sort of capability, that's where you're seeing it banned. Nemesis over on the left, this is a little bit more what we've been used to for the last 4 months as a setup on the team comp. On this BH3 side, this is pretty much what we just saw in the last match. This is EU standard meta at the moment, and Volto will be wanting that Phalanx since it's free.
Yeah, Felix look absolutely such a good mon. Ability to output high damage. I love the Trevenant and Sylveon combination. Just the CC and inability to move that Trevenant provides, but also I'm loving the utility that I'm seeing out of Sylveon right now with the Hyper Voice. It's not only being used as damage, but it's using as a zoning tool because people just don't want to go near it. And now one of my favorite evolutions. I really need to stop because I keep getting baited, but like the big blue button, as I call it, the Glaceon there, did get nerfed. But we are seeing a Cinderace, which I am very interested. I'm interested to get your take on that. Unfortunately, the Mimikyu getting banned, my little ghost puppet, one of my favorite mons. But yes, look, these bans are so standard across the board. I'm interested about the T-Tar considering the nerfs that we saw to it. And I know that little trickster Hooper, as we've gone through the Uni Clash, we have seen a lot of invades coming through from that Hooper in these early games, just providing that little bit of distraction, a little bit of hesitation. And it has turned out a lot very well. So I'm very keen to see, because you're pointing out Trainer, LGC, and Metallic on the side of Nemesis. I'm very keen to see how they perform on these two mons, specifically the Leafeon and Tyranitar, as well as you pointed out Volto for the side of BH3 on that Phalanx with such a powerhouse. I want to see how they perform here. But look, straight on paper, it's like straight coming out of this draft, this looks like it's going to be a very, very interesting match. That T-Tar needs to get online. Alola Ninetales, we talked about our experiences playing this game. Alola Ninetales, one of my day one Pokemon. Such good ability with the CC, and also a lot of great crowd control if it's running that Blizzard Avalanche. So for me, on paper, this looks really good. How about yourself on paper when it comes straight out of draft? Do you see a clear winner on the side, or are you on the same lines as me? When I'm looking at this, I'm seeing this is going to be a close match.
Pre-draft, I would expect Nemesis, but BH3, Volto on the Phalanx. Now, Metallic with the T-Tar should be a straight-up counter to that, being able to whip up damage to everyone, especially when it is true damage as well from T-Tar Wild. Bayonet's kind of got a counter. It might not seem it with Cinderace, but just that constant hold down just damage, rip through that T-Tar as quick as possible. A lot of CC from both sides. I love Yeet and Asnable. The Crustle A9 combo is phenomenal. Hooper from Rex is just continuously such a good all-rounder, but EU always has these kind of weird things. I'm expecting it to be a no-retreat Ironhead combo, but Volto there, just a much better all-rounder. But if they go Mega Horn, who knows? They could just one-hit KO Yeet Fan on the A9, or even Trainer on the Leafeon.
Bacon, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a double invade here from the Crustle and the Hooper. Cinderace has no choice but to just back on out of its central area. It did manage to take the blue buff. What is this craziness that is happening now? Here's the Trevenant to come in and try and provide. But again, this is where Cinderace is really, really interesting of a Pokemon to pick. I do want to get a little bit more of your thoughts on the thought of Cinderace. It is just able to stand behind a Trevenant and click A. But I'm very curious to see if we are going to get a Pyro Ball moveset here, if we're going to see a Blaze Kick with the repositioning to just possibly go around that Tyranitar that we saw before. But again, Cinderace is still a little bit underleveled, not getting to level 5 because of that invade. But we've got 3 looking here in the top lane. What an interesting start so far.
Cinderace will turn into the Rabu after these bursts, so you know that as long as they can get one of them, which they can't. It's struggle. Nemesis are just absolutely breaking up through to the opposite side. They take down Volto on the Phalanx, and they get a fair few dunks to boot. Yeet not going to get caught off because BH3 know they need to turn into their central area. They need to make sure they get these buffs. Trainer's just going to get a nice little highway back home with the hyperspace hole, but will they be thrown back into the fray? They are determined to go after those central buffs. They take down Volto once again. You need to have Phalanx online. You need to have it on the same levels, but they're not being allowed it.
No, this Leafeon picking up a 2 KO streak. That Razor Leaf combination is too good. It's going to come in. It did manage to get the buffs as well. Trevenant does go down as well. Sylveon goes down. We're on a 4 KO streak as Blissey just had to pop that X speed. What? Just what?
So it's also a mixture of Leafeon running Razor Leaf right there, being able to not only throw it through multiple targets, but zone them. You don't want to run back into those leaves. That's going to do damage to you. So it kind of throws a little bit of haywire into mix. Metallic then being able to pick up a lot of just the standard farm, already up to level 7 alongside the A9 of Yeet there. Turn into level 8 for both. They've just been absolutely happy days. Looking hunky-dory. Gonna even get a couple of small little stacks in there because Metallic is running attack weight. That's going to be super scary.
Unbelievable. And like what I really do love about this, that Leafeon just going on a little bit of an early tirade, is that we talk about it a lot. When you see the Tyranitar, the biggest hindrance for Tyranitar is that late level scaling, that late level evolution. It has had probably one of the freest early games I've seen in a long time, as we do have that Tyranitar online at the 7-minute mark. Both Reggies have spawned. It looks like Nemesis is in a bit of control of this game. Crustle and Tyranitar down bottom. As we go to top lane, Emerald 2-Step's going to come out on to the Phalanx. Phalanx does go down. Crustle securing the Regirock in that time. Leafeon is going to go hunting for the little Blissey that could. And oh my goodness gracious me. A 2K Ostriker is now hunting down that Cinderace. And Nemesis, Bacon are just in complete control. That double invade at the very start just snowballed them into such a dominant showing, not even into the middle game yet.
Well, like you said, it gave tons of great space into both A9 and T-Tar to then be able to just farm up and have a lot of freedom. I like this. Get the Regieleki, sure, but then just back off, go towards the central area, and make sure that you're continuously getting the Chiefs portion of it. T-Tar's got to be careful here. It is going to be Mega Horn, so they are fully going in for damage now, Volta, and I think because of the level disparity, they can't afford to go with Iron Head, but look at this, the turnaround, knocking the Regieleki into the goal. This will be destroyed. It's only 28 overdunk, but it's still happy days, especially when they are getting KOs to boot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Godzilla went on a rampage, my friend. And the Hooper portal, absolutely perfect. It did take that damage from Phalanx inside that push. It got jumped, but again, the Hooper reset's proving so good. Now the Hooper highways are online as well. They need to take down one of these bases and just stop Nemesis from getting any kind of movement. We still have a Cinderace at level 9, which is not where you want your central area Pokemon to be, but Nemesis having such a great Phalanx and Cinderace just trying to get into this bush. 30 seconds until this rate. It looks like this is the fight is going to stay in this bottom pad for the next foreseeable future, but that bottom pad, Bacon, is on 1 point, and it looks like Nemesis is going to try and go in for a big overcap and get some kills here.
I don't know. I could also see them just look for a cheeky small cap. You know, Yeet's only got 10 there. That'd be a 1-second dunk. If they can just fit it in, who knows, maybe even the Hooper, but right now, it's a little bit awkward. We're just waiting. That is the Hooper that's just got caught. That'd be a perfect pick. They do unbind. They're going to pull the T-Tar into the middle of the fight, and that's going to be a massive boost to their damage numbers. Can they catch out the Cinderace? No, Cinderace does just run it off to the bottom side, but they got to be careful. The T-Tar charging after them. Removes them from play. The Crustle just throwing up walls, trying to section out different members, as of course the Trevenant will fall down. They know they don't want to overcommit to this goal too early. Let's get that bottom buff. It's only a red ice, but it is global XP, pushing the Leafeon to level 13 already.
Yeah, absolutely. They got that red buff again in that same space. The Leafeon went and dunked into that central area as well. The Hooper Highway sending them straight top, and now BH3 have a big problem. With 4 minutes left to go, there is going to be another Regieleki on the clock, which could be, again, the straight win con for Nemesis here. BH3 have got to do something in this. Crustle is just providing so much ability here. Might get caught out with the Horn Leech here. Cinderace is just going to go in. Blaze Kick is going to go down, but Crustle managing to get out. Hooper Portal is there. No, it gets Horn Leech straight out. Oh my gosh, does manage to go down, but Cinderace had its own problems to deal with a Tyranitar running it down on the pad as we get a 48 overcap on that pop pad, and this Trevenant is out in no man's land with a very fed Leafeon and Tyranitar looking it down.
Yeah, they've seen chances to go for goals and they're doing it. This feels like what Nouns wanted to bring in the last game, but just on hyper mode, right? This is a we do not care about you. We're charging into your central area straight away and continuously put the pressure. It's less focus on winning the lanes, but more focus on taking away every bit of XP your opponent has. And they're just looking to catch out Pokemon left, right, and center here. That Blissey already down to half.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you're right. They've just starved them of anything. And like, again, we see the yellow dots on the minimap. Possibly BH3 just need to back away from this and try and go and take whatever they can to get some experience. We've got a level 14 Leafeon, a level 13 Tyranitar, and Cindere's just hitting level 12 right now and a level 11 Phalanx. Again, not super behind on those levels, but those carries that you want to go up against, the Leafeon and the Tyranitar are just, they're not hitting those strides just yet. So they have to find somewhere. But again, I think they're going to be given a little bit of a breather this time, because with only about 6 seconds to take this Regieleki up top lane, they're not going to have to worry about that at raid. But where we say there's a Ray, there is a way, and it looks like BH3 are going to possibly try and do a 5-man push onto this top side. I don't know if this is the best idea, but the fight looks like it's starting here. Phalanx going to go in, the Hooper Ball are going to catch it out, and now they just have to back out with Trevenant and Phalanx already close to half health. Blissey is trying to heal as much as it can. The Rayquaza has spawn bacon, and it looks like Nemesis are now going to push the play.
Leafeon going for the flag. There's your Emerald two-step, catching out 3 members. Oh, fancy frolic from Greg. It does work as a nice little counter, getting rid of Leafeon. They're going to be out of this for the entire play, but Greg's got to run away. Does get the Bliss assistance to keep them topped up, but they are just right in the middle, getting caught out by everyone. Beautiful from Asnable to be able to just catch Greg, and finally they might be able to top them off. Rex will fall, and that's a beautiful little pickup. Mystical Fire, finally the Sylveon does drop. Nemesis have been rebutted by BH3 at these final moments, but the fight will still go on.
Yeah, Phantom Forest is going to come out, Rock Tomb's going to go in, but the Phalanx has decided to spin itself, and it does manage to get taken down on the spot. When a Raging T-Tar is coming out, it doesn't matter how much you're going to spin, you are going to go down, and T-Tar is just going to try and pick off this Blissey. I thought there was a moment there for BH3 to come back on in. They had their Unite moves, the Phantom Forest kicked off, but again, Nemesis, I think it's that level difference just allowing them to survive that onslaught. Trevenant is out here in the middle. Again, either the Ray has to go, but there's 45 seconds on the clock, and now it seems like Nemesis have decided to take their foot off the pedal a little bit, because I think that was a little bit of a scare for them. And it looks like we've just hello, the 2 Leafeons just standing there. I think BH3 they decided not to put up the surrender mode, but they're just gonna let the rest of this game play out. But Cinderace is gonna try and take down this T-Tar here. It is just not gonna happen for them.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only way this works is a regroup towards that bottom path. You push for the Ray and then go split onto the top and bottom pads, but the time just was not there with BH3. They realized the 2 evolutions. We gotta see what happens when they meet in the wild. Well, NA looking strong. Nemesis against BH3. If you thought Nouns were one-sided against Wit Team, Nemesis just went, no, we'll show you how to win.
But you mentioned it in the previous game. In the game 1 of Nouns, we saw, you said they were showing respect to each other, but Nemesis came out of the gates swinging, not only with the double invade, but just almost a stranglehold on this game. And again, trainer LGC 17 takedowns. And I have to point you to this question. Nemesis, now BH3, they thought, maybe we might get a feel it out kind of game. Let's see, how they're going to go. Now they've seen Nemesis just go full throttle into this next game. What do you suppose BH3's answer is going to be into that next game? Are they going to come out swinging, or were they just caught unaware? What are your thoughts on that?
Drop the Phalanx. It just did not work into that. What you need is, again, it would be beautiful seeing Umbreon or a Slowbro. Perhaps the Blastoise in place of Phalanx there, just to be able to surf and pull a Pokemon away. Leafeon having the early game, you kind of expected, don't get me wrong, but there needs to be a punishment to it. They had to catch the Leafeon in the mix, but that's where Hooper was doing brilliant to run off them, give them hype space holes so that they could then just dodge. You can see so many times just that rush back to base, whether it's Metallic or Trainer on the Leafeon there, where essentially as soon as it got down to half HP, Rex was like, yep, you know what? Go have a rest, buddy. You've done great work. Get you back into the fray. It's half time. Go eat your oranges, have a little drink, and then you can continue the rest in the second half. They were just so dominant. And again, this is just beautiful team synergy, knowing each of their own roles.
And yeah, look, you pointed out Rex, 16 assists, 16 assists as opposed to you saw it. It was just tailing that Leafeon and the Tyranitar. We talked about in the early game, Tyranitar, one of the best ways to stop it is stop it from getting online. But when you have a Leafeon running so rampant at you in that early game, again with the level 4 evolutions, it's just, how do you stop it? And again, for me, I'm not sure about it, but the Cinderace felt like a very odd choice. I feel like it could have been a pick to possibly counter the T-Tar, because we did see the Blaze Kick. The Blaze Kick was the move that was picked up. So it was a way to keep the T-Tar at bay and just put damage on it. But again, there's nothing a reboot can do to a Leafeon when it's invading your central area and stopping
3
you.
levels above you. And the same,
absolutely.
And on the Cinderace, the Pirate Ball wouldn't have been the play there because you had to try and like dodge, duck out of the way.
Yeah.
So going to game 2, I like this from BH3. Yeah, don't allow Rex to have the Hooper again. That's a more foundational point of the team. This second pick is going to be interesting. I think something like the Umbreon is an interesting one from BH3 because I would have thought they would like that. Not choosing for the second ban from Nemesis is wild, however.
I don't know if that's a misclick or out timing or something's gone wrong there, but usually, especially in these times, we do see something get banned up. But that does bring us a pick that we could choose. The Slowbro becomes available. The Mimikyu becomes available again as well. Something that could really shut down a Leafeon is, when it dives in with the Emerald 2-step, when it goes in with the Razor Leafs, and I believe it's the Aerial Ace combination, it does provide the dashes. That Mimikyu, you tag it, you play the play rough, you play the play with me. That's hopefully gonna slow it down as much as you can. It seems like Nemesis have now decided to pick up that Phalanx this time around.
That is pure BM from Metallic. Just like Volto got no work done on the Phalanx. We'll show you how it's done. Alongside, again, Sylveon works on any team. You saw Sylveon, even though BH3 were wildly behind, Sylveon got over 10k more damage done than the Cinderace or the Trevenant. Sylveon still gets work put out. Liking at A9, that's absolutely fine, alongside the Eldegoss. Yep. Now, what does Nemesis pull? They could even avoid running a support here. You've got a bulky team. Don't get me wrong, Trainer on the Leafeon is a little bit low, but they can just run sort of like this sort of pseudo no need for a support comp here. Oh.
I think you and I had the same reaction.
That's bold.
That is very bold. Look, I'm interested to see how the Leafeon plays out this time around, especially without kind of the Hooper kind of running around behind it. But what I was very interested about the last game, I wanted to pick this up with you. We did see a Mystical Fire Sylveon as opposed to a Hyper Voice Sylveon. I was thinking that the Hyper Voice Sylveon could have helped a little bit more with that crowd control and all of the kind of burst damage that was coming on to BH3 in that time round. So do you think we'll probably see a Hyper Voice this time around from Nemesis? And then I'll ask you about the Cerule Edge pick.
Very quickly, look at those items. That is so heavily Sacred Fire. Mystical Fire, sorry. If I've ever seen it, essentially trying to just debuff them as much as possible. But that also makes that Sylveon a little bit bulkier. It makes them a little bit more... Yeah. I don't want to say a defender, maybe closer to an all-rounder, but it's just a debuffer putting down consistent damage whilst also being bulky. Sure, when you're looking at that role, sure, you're not going to be putting as much as a store power Espeon down on your opponents, but what you are doing is staying in the fight. That's why I said they wouldn't need to run a support. They have gone for Blissey here, and it feels like that's just more of an all-rounder. The eggs from Blissey are always really, really good. It's not going to be a helping hand safeguard Blissey, folks. No. That moveset is just not as valuable, essentially. But when you're looking around this, for me, Cerule Edge has to be that early. It's going to be difficult in early game, for level 5, especially if we see Trainer go for that double invade once again, which you could see them do alongside Asnable on the Crustle. But if Cerule Edge can get online, if it can just make sure that it keeps dashing through the opponents, really stack up, Psycho Cup or even Phantom Force across multiple different targets, it'd be great. Maybe even Flame Charge here. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Yeah, look, that's what I was discussing, because I finally had a chance to play a little bit of Cerule Edge and obviously using the Phantom Force as opposed to Flame Charge. But we are seeing the double invade once again. But BH3 are probably a little bit wise to it this time around, as Mew is going to take that take that blue buff, as A9 is going to take that red buff. That's a very interesting central lane combination. I'm not sure. Again, I haven't seen it too much. But Blissey is just hanging around, being a little bit of a nuisance. Even if it doesn't pick up that red buff, it is going to provide a big distraction. But Leafeon is already in the top lane, and A9 manages to secure both res buffs. So both BH3 coming out with both buff this time, as Leafeon is trying to get some stacks in. Again, very interesting early game from the side of Nemesis.
That end doing the perfect thing right there. Do not get distracted by the chances still, mind you. Don't worry about getting that carry. The XP is not worth it. Make sure to just hold on to your path. It's going to be interesting. It is a 4 Pokemon top push from Nemesis here. Will they find the rewards that they're looking for? Throwing everyone into the fray, but not really getting much from it. They do take down the Charcadet.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that in the previous game, the 4-person top lane. We're seeing that as a lot, but as we suspected, there comes the double invade, and Ninetales just trying to do whatever it can. The CC, again, not enough. Ninetales just not quick enough, but that Charcadet is now online as the Cerule Edge. But with the Blissey combination, that A9 is probably going to try and head straight back into that central area, as Leafeon leaves with an extra 2 buffs, as it does get stopped by Surf, and all the Solar Beam coming through, but this Leafeon is just dodging and weaving wherever it can. That Surf Telekinesis combination, I like to see it. I feel like if they can get some good picks on that Leafeon is not going to have as much of a free game as it did last time, as Blissey is just providing the distraction tactic this time around.
But because of the telekinesis, if they are running it, because they don't have that move just yet, right? But if they are running telekinesis, that is a make or break for a lot of teams, because if you miss those telekinesis shots, you've just wasted a move, essentially, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, like telekinesis again, that hitbox is so thin. But I guess with the Leafeon coming up, the Leafeon has to get right up in you with that Razor Leaf moveset. The range is not too amazing on it. So if you're in that kind of point blank range, that shotgun range, if you will, it is a chance. Ninetales Snow Warning is going to kind of give away its position. The Phalanx is going to get hit with the Avalanche Blizzard combination. Leafeon's going to try and take as much as it can. Solar Beam securing most of that. Phalanx is going to go in. Leafeon with the Mystical Fire. You called it correctly, my friend. But now again, the patience here. There goes Leafeon. Emerald 2-Step's going to come on in. It does manage to get a KO on the Eldegoss as it goes down, but unable to get the Mew as well. But this is going to provide just a little bit of space for them to get those points in. The A9 Blizzard is going to do Fairy Fog, going to come on in. And here comes the Cerule Edge to try and clean up where it can. It goes on in. Phalanx does go down. BH3 doing a lot better this time round in sustaining this onslaught from Nemesis.
Loving this change to Mew as well from Greg, by the way. Those solar beams were massive across multiple targets. Swapping, of course, then to Electro Ball was a nice little chase down. Really pushed back Yeet Fan on the Sylveon, who's now right in the middle of things. Then look at the chase down the Eldegoss, but no, has to just back it up. Mew has covered everyone over. Does get rid of the Leafeon at the same time, so Cerule Edge will not fall for nothing. But the Iron Head, the no headset, mix that with no retreat. This is what I wanted to see from the Phalanx. Get those shields online and just become a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Phalanx is going to pop the carousel. It's going to come on in, but Cerule Edge does not matter. It's going to try and do as much damage as it can here, as Phalanx just has no point. We know the new move is no retreat, but it is retreating as fast as it can. But Blissey is there to provide the egg support, and Phalanx manages to get out on that. A little bit too aggressive on the side of the Cerule Edge there. It managed to do the damage, but it still tried to go in for the KO. Blissey was there to help, and Nemesis are just wanting this top pad gone. Again, at this point in the previous game, I believe that top pad was already gone. Mystical Fire is going to go on in. They're going to try and get a 50 cap here. The boost on everything. Cerule Edge is going to try and do anything, but the Mystical Fire is just going to support. And great egg bombs to just zone out there and get those in. And now Nemesis is going to do what we saw in the previous game. They're just going to live in that enemy team's central area.
But also, Cerule Edge is a really wise choice here. With Psycho Cut, of course, just that flat defense reduction against a Pokemon like Phalanx. Cerule Edge does have its choice. Plus, those dashes across Phalanx are very easy target to get those off. Multiple ticks as well. It's a nice counter. BH3 are doing a lot better while still behind in this game too, mind you. At the 5-minute mark, they are looking still well and truly in this game.
Cerule Edge is going to ult in, but the Bliss assistance is going to help its teammates survive. Nemesis really strong here. Again, what I do like with BH3 is that whilst all of that was going on in their central area, they just decided to take that bottom Reggie. They are trying, I feel like, not to get too distracted by what Nemesis is doing with the starving tactics. They're getting they're getting the experience, they're getting the Regileckies, they're getting the buffs, and they're trying to push on their own terms instead of letting it all be on Nemesis terms. So here we go. We're going for a push here. The egg bombs are stunning as much. The Cotton Cloud Crash is going to come on out, providing a little bit of push away, but the Crossal Rock Tomb is too good here. Mew with the Electro Balls coming on in, but there is the Phalanx to come in and try and help out. The Carousel is going. Beyblade, let it rip. And the Elder Gods just has to back away. And now Nemesis is now on the attack. Cerulege is up in the top part, doing its own thing. And BH3 is doing a much better job of defending and attacking this time around, not letting Nemesis have complete control of the game.
Perfect use of the Mew Unite move as well, just cover that area. Oh. I like this sort of like little rampant like chase after chase. They saw the Cerulege making their way towards the Regieleki, chased off, and once the rest of BH3 followed up, that Leafeon just getting away within an inch of their life. Nice little solar beam across the Rex, just really make them feel hurt here. Beautiful splash damage from the Mew, takes down not only Leafeon but the Regieleki to boot.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic there. Great use of the great use of the Mew utility, but they're not even going to try and push this in. They just wanted to get it off the map, make sure that they're not being pushed. But now the A9 is here. The Avalanche is going to stop them up against the bush. The Snow Globe is going to take down the Phalanx as well. The Solar Beams are going to hit. Blissey is on low health, but Sylveon with the Mystical Fire is going to come on in and try and clean up the Mew popping into Jack, but unable to get away. And Slowbro is the last person standing with the Elder Gods. They could get out here as Sylveon is on the chase with Leafeon not too far behind. This is going to be an interesting way to try and take them down. The Razor Leaf's not going to catch, but the Egg Bombs providing enough of a nuisance to take down the Slowbro as Eldegoss does manage to get away from the Sylveon.
But no, it's the Slowbro putting that surf downwards. Basically, they accepted one of them would have to be knocked out, one of them would have to fall. That allowed the Eldegoss a little bit faster of a Pokemon to be able to then get away. That's just good little micromanagement if you're a team like that.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I just want to call back to something we saw before earlier. The Leafeon going in with the Emerald two-step, but Cerulege countering itself with its own Unite move where it was able to disappear. And again, Leafeon getting out and not, again, one of the instances where we've seen this Leafeon Unite move not as effective as it wanted to be. So again, that's Cerulege. Really, I'm feeling it like it's such a great pick. And we also noticed that whilst all of that was going in the top lane, Cerulege was also taking the bottom Reggie. So again, they're not being starved for farm. Even if they're taking their central layer, they're like, look, we'll get the farm from the buffs. But here we go, Bacon. It is a close battle, 130 to 146. The Rayquaza has spawned, and Mew is just going to pop some solar beams to try and pick out where any of these people are. Nemesis BH3, game number 2, Rayquaza is on the field.
Also keep a little eye between Cerulege and Leafeon in the top left of the map. They will be having a little fight as soon as they see these fights go down. It's because there's not much Eos energy between the two. Not much has been scored. We're just waiting for the first one to flinch. There you go. Leafeon finally charging on. Bliss assistance to the Leafeon. That means Cerulege knows they need to get out of dodge. They don't have the health. They don't have the HP. Bliss is going to get 54 in. Whilst in the central area, Nemesis and BH3 know this is the moment you have to go. Win this central fight, then get the raid pivot around. But no picks just yet. Crossland finally falls to Mew. Dust Devil formation. And Metallic is trying to just whip up everyone. But no, these heals coming through is beautiful from the Eldegoss with the Cotton Crash. Now they need to punish this Blissey, throw him into the back lines. But in the meantime, Nemesis will respawn, get back to the Pokemon Center, and be ready for another fight. Nothing has been won just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Alone Ninetales is the only one on BH3 that has its Unite move. Sylveon and Cross will still have its Unite move there. Cerulege is probably looking for a stack. Again, it is only about 150 points in this game. The big Solar Beam damage on the Mystical Fire. Sylveon, if they can just locate it in that bush, Phalanx is going to go in. No retreat, straight into the Rayquaza pit. It's probably going to come down to a flip here. Eldegoss is going to go down. Ninetales looking for what it can. The Blizzard Avalanche. There's the Snow Globe. Who gets it? Oh, it is Nemesis that managed to secure the Rayquaza, but now BH3 are just going to try and break as many shields as they can. Ninetales is going to try and go for a score. The surfing away of the Mew. And again, with 9 seconds to go, that Crossel is barreling down onto that central area, and it looks like Nemesis is going to take this game to this set. Sorry, 2-0. My God, Bacon, what a difference in games that we just witnessed.
I think it also comes down to that first pick, being able to dictate your play style, much smarter counter picks from BH3. Like, they were a little bit more comfortable with the comp that Nemesis brought here. They had a really good idea in how to utilize Cerulege. You could see that early game. Fizzy was brilliant on that slow row, by the way, folks. Like, full credit. And Greg on the Mew was brilliant as well. But it was just that, you know, the overall team comps, the plays, Leafeon Trainer is just too strong on, let's face it. Aznable, brilliant on that cross. Whilst not going to be getting any numbers that are going to be topping the charts, not really even going to be getting like the highest levels. Let's say it though, 14 is pretty good for a crossal, right? But they were just continuously warming off the correct targets, really hassling with X Scissor as well to really segregate the Pokemon that they needed to. Allowed great follow-ups from the Fan, Metallic, and Trainer. Like, this is a team. Nemesis have got each other's like game ideas down to a T and know how to bounce with each other, but BH3 as drafts are being a little bit more creative, and I like that. That might see them get rewarded in that lower bracket run.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, they played a very intelligent Ray fight against Cerulege, going down to the top side with the Leafeon and Blissey combination. We saw the Blissey Unite used, so they knew it wasn't going to be there. Again, they managed to get 2 picks down, the Sylveon and the Crossel going down. Again, they chased this Blissey at the Ray fight. Again, probably just to ensure a takedown so they get rid of the heals. I thought they did really, really well in this game as opposed to the game one. And again, it came down to a very a flip at the end. Ninetales popping that Snow Globe Unite move, probably just, I get half a second, maybe too early. Again, if it holds it on for a tick, but when you're in that Ray fight, you're watching, and like you're popping it wherever it can. Sylveon managing to secure that Rayquaza there. So a real difference in games. And yeah, again, the drafts. We talked about it at the start. When it came to what we see in terms of the meta this time round, no Cramorant this time round, as we saw in game one. Not too many Trevenants, so a lot of different picks being picked up. What do you make of that? Are these teams experimenting, or?
I feel it's part experimentation. It's also having what is strongest for you going up against these international teams. Of course, there's going to be a little bit more ping, you know, between EU and NA. You're expecting anywhere between 70 and 100. So, you know, it's what you're most comfortable with for these teams to try and like really set the tone. As soon as you see that, like we saw with the Cerulege, they went, okay, we know how to counter that in EU. Let's bring that out here because that is going to be our safety bet. And it's a very close one. But one thing that isn't going to be close is the match after this break, folks. We had a 2-0. We've had 2 2-0s, so we're kind of a little bit ahead of schedule. Might be a little bit of a longer break, but nonetheless, on the opposite side, we'll be bringing you the quarterfinals. That's it. We're in the top 8 of the upper bracket. This tournament is whizzing by pretty fast, but nonetheless, the show will go on. We've got so much more Unite content left to go today. We'll see you on the opposite side of this break. Welcome back, folks. We're heading into the quarterfinals, the upper bracket quarterfinals of today's action. And, well, our 8 teams so far are looking, well, mighty juicy, with the Orange Juicers versus Enteku going to be our match. But elsewhere, we have got Anahi going up against the Intergovernmentalizations. I can't speak French, sorry, but it is a French superhouse powerhouse team. Nouns are currently waiting for the winner between Emo Constantios and Imperio Esport, and then Fluffy Nemesis versus Yala Bingo is taking place over on Unite Battle Hub. But Kello Lobo here is North America versus Mexico, and Kello, like, this is going to be a mighty kind of like fierce game coming up between these two regions.
Yes, well, these two teams have been invited to the Unity Clash because of their performance during the UCS. They are both Worlds qualified teams, so I guess a little sneak peek whether they'll end up coming up against each other at the World Championship Series. Mind you, they are in different regions and there is ping and whatnot, but for those folks that aren't familiar, Orange Juices is from the NA region, and as we mentioned, LATAM, they did come third in the regionals, so qualified via the championship points along with Orange Juices. So yeah, pretty fire matchup.
And from what we've seen so far today, what do you expect to carry over into this matchup, Lobo, like meta-wise?
Oh man, what we've seen today, we've seen two very strong teams 2-0 each other. Again, I feel like we're going to see a lot of strong combinations. We've seen one team have the dominance. Obviously, you spoke to me about meta. I for sure we're going to see another Leafeon pop off. Again, in our previous game that we cast, we saw a double invade, which I was really, really happy to see. That was fun. I would love to see some of these mons escape the ban jail. We did see how well Slowbro was played. I would be very interested to see how a Blaziken does come into these comps and how these teams are going to use them, especially teams that are world qualified. But for me, especially in these type of tournaments, what has been the most enjoyable is seeing the off picks come through. And that's what I kind of want to see if any of these teams are going to go for that. Right,
as we get into this one, I'm going to leave it to you, Kello and Lobo. So, Kello, take it away.
Look, you're talking about off picks here, Lobo. Machisel, Machan? Airing any bells? I mean, that's a thing. This team, Orange Juices, I feel like are definitely a fan favorite, considering they did win the NAIC champion title. Roland, Kratos, Flareon, Zugrug, like these names just, scream throughout the Unite Championship community. But otherwise, here we are. We are going to have our first bans, Mimikyu, Leafeon on the side of Orange Juices for Lynx and Slowbro. So I guess Slowbro is not making it out on the field today at all.
No, absolutely not. It's going to stay locked in that jail. But as the Slowbro and the Leafeon head into the jail, the Blaziken is going to be released. I think we're going to be seeing the Blaziken for the first time today, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. We might have seen it. But again, Blaziken's so strong right now. Again, these 4 picks, Kilo, just the Sylveon, the Cramorant, the Umbreon, and Blaziken. The first 4 picks that we're going to see on any side coming into these tournaments. And again, I love seeing Cramorant, but I'm also very interested to see the amazing versatility of a Sylveon.
I guess it just really goes to show what is currently in the meta. You can really decipher that, especially when you just see the same Pokemon being picked time and time again. But I think it's the last couple of picks where the magic happens, right? You have that flexibility. You also have that ability to go and counter. However, we saw it earlier on in the day. Nouns did run that Zoroark Comfey slash and dash combo. So Anteku also going to be picking up themselves off-meta picks. Is Absol considered an off-meta pick, Lobo?
I mean, I don't think anything can be considered off meta when you've got that Machizel playing it. We did see them previously in the qualifiers that we got to spectate earlier in the months, popping off on the Absol. We thought it was an off meta pick, but they did manage to do a lot on that. We are seeing the Buzzwole come back out, Kilo. We did Buzzwole very prominent during the championship series when the leagues were going on. It has fallen off a little bit here, but I also like the Snorlax pick as well. A lot of disruption to possibly stop the Zoroark's combinations out with the Comfey as well. I'm very interested to see how we go as Machizel. We do have a swap between Kratos and Machizel. Machizel going to be on the Blaziken, and Absol is going to be taken by Kratos. So I very much like this draft. It's a very interesting draft. Mons that we're not seeing. Blaziken coming back in, Snorlax coming in, Absol, and then we're now seeing Buzzwole come in as well.
I think we're going to end up seeing Machizel up in that top half. And, you know, obviously it starts off at that Torchic phase. So Buzzwole into the Torchic. I can see where the thought process is going here. I mean, the thing is, Buzzwole doesn't have attack weight stack on. So their priority is obviously just going to try and hinder that Torchic Machizel from getting the attack weight stacks. They don't need to int for stacks, as you might say.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a really nice way, a really nice thing that we're seeing now. We're so used to these top laners going in for their stacks, but now these players with their experience and as we're now moving into with Unite getting maybe it's teenage phases, if you want to call it now, the more experience is coming, like where we see laners going for stacks is not 100% necessary, especially with you know, taking into the kind of buffs and stuff that Blaziken has achieved. So it's nice to see players adapt. No invades this time around for these two. I could be wrong, but Snorlax looked like he was going for it. We've got a Buzzwole in that top side, taking on the Torchic, like you mentioned, Kilo with the Blissey, and it looks like this Buzzwole could go down early, but Comfey just coming up to help assist the big bug.
I mean, this is just demonstrating, yes, Buzzwole has fallen off in terms of the meta, but the fact that they were just able to take on a 2v1, mind you, they all got very low in HP there, but it's just the ability to go and keep that pressure on and not allow that Torchic to go and stack, considering they are at 0 points currently.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did see the Absol taking down an unevolved Umbreon in its own central area. Umbreon playing a little bit of an aggressive game. Absol is something that is kind of scary, even early game, able to output a big damage. So, you know, invading on an Umbreon is not exactly something you want to go, but the Hurricane is going to sweep up a lot of that central farm as Zoroark is now online. It is just going to try and slash and dash its way through, but its Comfey is in the top lane as we do see the Hyper Voice come out as we get a few stats coming in. Buzzwole has got the Comfey on it there. Down goes the the Combustion as Absol is going to try and do whatever it can. That Comfy is such a good assist, but Zorak is going to come in with the Knife Slash, and it does manage to take down the Absol as Antaku have got the run of the early game, just managing to get now some stacks with that Zorak and Buzzwole.
Yeah, that is a huge hindrance over to the side of Orange Juices because their buffs have come on up. However, that Combustion is aware of that, knowing that there is a Comfey Zoroark lurking about. They want to make sure that they don't get invaded. Kratos was able to nab that blue buff just in time. However, we do have Aura and Polo Colo going on in, once again, as you mentioned, just slashing and dashing, doing a bit of damage here and there. However, no KOs. Instead, they're going to retreat on back to that mid where Combustion was able to pick up that last bird.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a really great combination. We saw the heavy slam coming in, going to disrupt that Zorak combination. Not enough for the Sylveon to survive there. Absol's going to go in on the Cramorant, low damage, but Absol's going to be taken down as well. And Taku are really heading on strong in his Umbreon is online with the Wish combination. And Snorlax is just going to have to stop whatever's going on here. But no, there are 4 of them in that bot side pad as Antaku are just going to crash on into that killer. Antaku looking really strong against a very strong and capable Orange Juice's team. But we're only in the early stages of this game at the moment.
Oh, we have the 3-person push up in the top path. No, they're going to back on up considering there is that big buff Mosquito there to protect that pad. However, the prioritization on the top Reggie Alecki here. We do have 2 members of Anteku still down bottom. 1 member of Orange Juice is down there. It looks like, you know, Anteku were just waiting for the perfect opportunity. Wait for Reggie Alecki maybe to do a little bit of damage onto that Blaziken, get caught on out. However, that slow smoke, I guess, just saved them there. Not able to dive on in.
Yeah, absolutely. Blaziken's going to go try and get Blazing Fists are going, but it does get taken down by the Zorak. This movement on the Zorak is so great, but again, finishing that combination, getting the Sylveon taken down as Reggie Alecki is just going to walk in for Antaku, and it might. Even a 35 overcap could go here, but 33 overcap, nice little overdumps there, as Antaku are really starting to push the pace against Orange Juice. I'm not sure what Juice can do to actually try to stop this onslaught, as Buzzwole might get taken down here.
Oh, we had Absol going and using their Unite move to go and mow that tall grass. Nobody lurking about, so not able to get as much utilization. However, we do have Gohan using their Unite move to try and get themselves out of dodge, able to dodge the heavy slam from that Snorlax and not get popped on up.
Yeah, absolutely. Great Unite move, great utility. And again, Umbreon now almost up to full health, just managing to get out of that little engage. Orange Juice is just going to pick up as much farm as they can. 16 points to 12, 212. As they go in, the heavy slam disrupts, but does not stop the Zorak from going in. It pops its Unite move. Blaziken does get... Oh, Zorak gets taken down. I'm sorry, the Gatling gun is going to come out. Zorak's going to try and heavy slam its way out. The Fairy Frog's going to come in. Blaziken does get taken down. And Sylveon, even with the Unite move, could not get out killer. Great Unite move from the Cramorant and follow-up from the rest of the team.
Yeah, and because there's no jump pads available or nobody to go and stop these dunks, they have managed to leave this bottom tier 2 pad at 10 points. Oh my gosh, the isolation on the poor Comfey. It was able to get rescued by Gohan on the Umbreon, so no KOs for Orange Juices just yet. However, we are at that halfway mark, 56 points to 297. We already have a level 12 Cramorant over on the side of Antaku, along with that Zoroark as well. So Orange Juices really need to try and find some footing, whether it's just gathering some wild Pokemon for that experience. I mean, they do have 3 Unites here going into this fight, Lobo.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 Unites versus an Umbreon and a Comfy Unite here. Orange Juice are just going to decide to go and rip this Rayquaza. They are going to take it with the power of the Hyper Voice and the Absol coming through. Snorlax is going to take a big power nap in there to have some health to go on in. Absol's gone in. There is the Absol Unite move, plus the Gold Gatling gun is going to come out and defend, but it does not matter. The Regieleki has gone in. Umbreon just pops his Midnight Press and gone out. The Bliss Assist onto the Blaziken as it does manage to get away, but Sylveon gets taken down. Great push in there by Orange Juice's. Blaziken is slowly trying to get out. He could get caught here, but it is going to get back to its pad and have backup. But Antaku, realizing what's going on, have just decided to go into the enemy team's central area. But a great push, Keeler. They managed to get close to 100 points in there and bring this score back to within distance.
I think at those moments where the team is so under-leveled in comparison to Enteku, they don't really have much to lose. So it's just trying to find an opening, some momentum. Even if they get KO'd, they're not really giving much over to Enteku. The fact that they were able to break that T1 pad is huge. But we do have a basement Reggie still sitting on the field. Blaziken is going to go in with those flaming Fist of Fury, as you love to dub it. However, Zoroark was able to take down their tank, their Snorlax, so now they do not have that front line.
Yeah, absolutely. The Flaming Fist are not enough as the Zoroark combination is there, but it's going to get caught in the Absol Unite, but it manages to get out once again. Absol's going to go on a hunt, but settles for the Umbreon instead. And, excuse me, a Registeel at this point in time is going to be great, but again, the Zoroark coming on in, getting the KO on the Absol, and managing to take the Registeel for themselves. Again, 50 seconds left down, and it looks like Enteku with the Zoroark Comfy combination. It's so strong, Kilo. It is so strong right now with just its ability to whip in and out of play. Orange just have to find a way to deal with it. They have dealt with it really, really well. Blaziken seems like the great answer, but this Zoroark just has too much free movement on the map at the moment.
Oh, yeah, the free movement, just being able to dash, but it's also just seems like this infinite HP pool that it has with that Comfey attached to it. It is at that level 14 mark along with the Cramorant on Enteku. However, Orange Juices, even though they did have a little bit of a rocky beginning, they have managed to reach the power spikes of that Blaziken and that Absol, along with Sylveon getting the power spike at that level 12. So, you know, at least they have some plus movements going into this final stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. The huge lead has popped up on the board. Zoroark is going to wait down in that bottom part just to try and catch out. Snorlax going to do whatever it can to try and find out whatever's going. The heavy slam onto the Umbreon. Zoroark has decided to go on in. The Fairy Frolic's going to be popped out early this time around. Zoroark not popping into Unite, but the Hyper Voice is going to try and steal as much as he can. The Melook catching out the Sylveon, and Sylveon goes down as the Gold Gatling Missile is going to come on in. The Bliss Assistance on to the Blaziken. It is two members down for the side of Orange Juice. Blaziken is just trying to run away, but it does get chased out by the Big Bug and does end up getting taken down as 4 members down for the side of Orange Juice's Absol, and Snorlax is still going to come back in, and Taku, they have to be very careful here. The heavy slam on the Snorlax could provide the steal as Absol's going to try and come in. It's got its Unite move as well, unable to secure at the last minute. What a steal that would have been, Killer. But Taku, very, very dominant. Showing, especially for these two top teams coming into this one. I'm very keen to see what changes Orange Juice to the next one into the second one as the Hundo Burgers roll right on in.
Yeah, it's 150 to 497. Zoroark able to get their dunk, and I believe Comfey would still have their shield as well. However, they were able to get their dunk in. 3 members of Orange Juice is down. I mean, another one. Not a lot for Sylveon and Snorlax to do. I guess it's just a matter of watching on from base, waving that white flag, and going on GG next. Back to the drawing board. And yeah, that was an interesting first game. And Teku, as you mentioned, a very dominant performance.
Yeah, look, absolutely. Again, we saw it come out earlier in this tournament broadcast. The Zoroark Comfy. I pitched this question to absolutely everybody. Once you see it on the map, what do you do? Because it's very interesting that the more we get to learn about these casters, the more we learn about this game as we continue our casting and getting to chat to these pro players who get to cast alongside, we know the importance of positioning in drafting. And as we see the Comfy and the Zoroark being picked up in I believe the second and third position for a team, they're being picked up together, especially if they're second pick. So they're being picked up together as a duo, if you will. And so the teams have a chance to try and possibly they have possibly 1 or 2 picks to try and pick something that can counter this Zoroark Comfy, but it doesn't look like there was a lot there. Like we talk about it a lot when it comes to Unite moves that can single people out, the Slowbro Unite, the Mimikyu Unite, possibly even a Serena Unite move. But again, what is the counter? Not even the counter. What is the answer to this Zoroark Comfy combination? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I guess the thing with Orange Juices, you look at their team composition, they don't really have much suppression tools on their side besides the heavy slam, Snorlax, and block. You also have Blissey Egg Bombs, which, you cannot discount at all. However, you probably want to prioritize those eggs on healing more than hindering the opposite team. So they just didn't really have that answer for that Zoroark when it does come in with that dash. Able to dash on in and then quickly dash on out as soon as the job is done. As we can just see in these highlights, just constantly on Flareons shredding down that Sylveon, which the Hyper Voice, you can't reposition the movement once it's already been, let out. So it's like you aim in one direction, and I mean Zoroark, okay, you're aiming this way. Well, Zoroark would just go end up, going behind you, and well, Hyper Voice isn't really going to do much, is it?
No, and I like that you brought up Sylveon, because Sylveon is also a very, very versatile mon with the two movesets. Possibly Hyper Voice not the best possible move to deal with a Zoroark. Obviously, not too much of a bulky composition coming out from Antaku. We had the Umbreon. Again, Umbreon doing a fantastic job. We saw a Pop Unite move getting out of that central area unharmed. But in this instance, to help deal with the Zoroark, we may have seen a Mystical Fire that allows you a bit of a dash. It allows you to be a little bit more bulky and tanky with the Draining Kiss as well. Again, the Absol's an interesting pick for us, because obviously we saw it in draft with Machizel taking it on, and then Kyrios bringing it up again. Do you think we're going to see a change on that side when it comes to what Machizel could pick up? I feel like the Absol was a little bit... going 1v1 with the Zoro, both of these mons very high damaging, very hard to deal with, especially in terms of movement. But the Zoroark added having a Comfy probably gives the edge to the Zoroark, don't you think?
Yeah, it's Comfey is just the enabler there. You pair up a Comfey with a Speedster, whatever Speedster that may be, and it just seems like they are absolutely unstoppable. I mean, the fact that Zoroark was able to dish out 117k damage during that round, picking up so many KOs time after time. While, yes, Kratos did have Roland on the Blissey, it's Blissey has to trail behind you with the eggs. Here, help is on the way. Can't really keep up with the Speedster, when needed. So, I guess going on into this next round, I think one thing that was really great from Anteku's side, knowing their game plan, they picked up that Umbreon first up, right? Umbreon is such a great counter to Zoroark, so I just think their draft just worked out really, really well in terms of the times that they picked it. So Orange Juices, depending on, which position they end up here, maybe picking up a Umbreon themselves, if Anteku are going to go for that Zoroark Comfey once again.
Yeah, look, I love that you mentioned that Umbreon is not only a counter to Zoroark, but for me, it's also an enabler of sorts of Zoroark. The mean looks being chucked onto the Absol, the Blaziken, and even the Sylveon. Not a lot you can do even if Zoroark's combination is in such a small space. So if you can't move, you're not escaping it. I think Zugrug did such a fantastic job with the heavy slams, trying to stun the Zoroark out. I think there needs to be possibly a little bit more stun to stop the Zoroark from coming on. But again, we talk about this where now Zoroark is the main focus of the competition. You're just letting that Cramorant run riot. 85k damage is nothing to joke about against teams of these high levels as well. And even Buzzsaw, we questioned it in the draft, hasn't been super popular. But I think that's the power of the Zoroark, because it makes you focus on it, especially when it has that comfy. But I'm keen to see. I'm keen to see what we see in the next draft. And we do not have to wait much longer.
No, and we were talking about Gohan on the Umbreons quite a lot that last round, just being such a nuisance to each member of Orange Juices. They have decided to go and ban it. So don't have to deal with that. However, it'll be really interesting to see whether any of these teams do end up prioritizing that slow bro ban. Considering, wait, we have 2 target bans. So Umbreon and Buzzwole. I feel like we haven't seen a Buzzwole ban in a hot minute, Lobo.
You're taking me back a few months to see the Buzzwole ban. That big muscular bug was such a menace to deal with, especially when we think about back to the UCS regular season, seeing it so often. This, apart from the Phalanx, this feels like we're right smack bang in the middle of the season once again with Slowbro, Umbreon, and Buzzwole being bang. Again, Premium is bringing up the Cramorant. I love seeing this Cramorant, honestly. And a Blissey combination with Blaziken being picked up first go. Rollers, we could see a Clefable. I'm very interested to see what kind of picks we get from the side of Orange Juice, because they definitely have to change it up this time around.
Yes, but I mean, so far it's pretty much the same. We do have, oh no, never mind, it's never not the same. They did hover over 2 of the same picks, however, they'd have decided to go a completely different road. But Chisel's picking up Mimikyu, another
so
Pokemon
excited.
that is great to counter that Zoroark with that Unite move, but Henteku aren't even looking to be selecting this Zoroark here, along with the fellow ghost, the Trevenant. So 2 ghosts on the side, and I think you're screaming internally here. 3 ghosts? Hello?
Oh my goodness, I love seeing 3 ghosts, but when I saw the Mimikyu not getting banned, I was very hoping I would see this happen. Seeing someone of the caliber of Machisel possibly playing a Mimikyu, I'm absolutely speechless. Speechless is the word I'm looking for, but I love this. The 3 ghost types, Trevenant's going to provide such great CC again to stop a Zoroark from moving around. We could see the Imprison or the Poltergeist come out from Chandelure, which again stops the movement of a Zoroark. So it looks like Orange Juices were possibly predicting the Speedster comp, the Speedster coming out once again, but Antaku have decided to throw a curveball in this one, going for a little bit more of a range heavy comp with a strong front line when it comes to Cramorant and the Gardevoir here, Kilo.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested in Teku as just completely different Pokemon all round. However, you know who I know would really enjoy Orange Juice's composition right now? Zoinks. I know he is a big fan of the ghost type Pokemon as well.
I mean, the ghost types have a special place in our Pokemon lovers' hearts. Look, I've said it many times, Mimikyu has a special place in my heart. Chandelure has one of the best designs from Gen 5 Pokemon, so seeing Flareon pick that up. Also, Chandelure has such a good versatile offensive moveset as well, going either that Overheat or the Flamethrower build. Being able to do that big damage with Overheat, or being able to do that area of effect damage from Flamethrower and getting the resets as well. Also, Imprison completely shutting it down, the opponents, but that combination with the Trevenant is very, very strong. And then Blaziken just able to reap the benefits of that coming in with the Flying Fist. Although on the side of Antaku, I do like the Mime Blastoise. That to me is a very strong front line. And again, if you're looking like something like a Blaziken who does have the similar style movement as a Zoroark, those walls, if they're going to be put up, are going to be really, really hard. And if that Gardevoir is playing a Moonblast plus the Hurricane Stun, it's going to be very interesting as well. So we're going to see how everything goes. I'm looking to see a lot of interesting Shadow Sneaks coming from Mimikyu this time around, as we've got Mimikyu and Cramorant and Mr. Mime and Gardevoir inside the central areas, Kilo.
Yes, well, going on in, getting their farm. However, Anteku, they are 1-up. So whoever does end up, if Anteku do end up winning this match, they're going to go up against Intergovernmentalizations. That is a very long name. So Orange Juices, they need to try and take this to a round 3. No points currently on the board. However, any sus, utilizing the all-rounder Blastoise or Squirtle composition here for this match.
Blastoise is such a good defender. Possibly both movesets. Surf, Hydro Pump, so strong. The repositioning again, being able to just defend its team almost solo, hold a pad by itself. Cramorant taking that early red buff, able to get that Hurricane online. We saw the Hurricane doing so much as both teams have got a 4-person top lane. As Mimikyu is going to go straight on in onto the Leafeon, and as it manages to have to just bounce out of here. Wartortle is searching for the little ghost puppet. Mimikyu is going to have to try and get out of here this time around, as it's just being targeted by absolutely everything. Again, even though we had 4 people inside the top lane, and Taku has now come back to push the pad because they've got a little bit of a numbers advantage. Only Hooper here. Mimikyu's going to try and go in with that Shadow Claw. It's not going to be able to do much, but again, the Psyshock damage is so strong, and Mimikyu gets taken down very quickly in that push.
Look, Mimikyu might be the targeter usually, but I guess, you know, the tables have been turned. You gotta target the targeter. Take it on down. That way they cannot be too much of a threat. We do have those mid Swabblers and Altarias about to spawn in that central area. Everybody is looking to go and converge there, as we do have Mr. Mime and Trevenant just battling on out down bottom. But, I mean, so far, it seems pretty equal in terms of levels across the board. However, Anteku, they do have 52 points on the board, so that does mean there would be no stacks for Orange Juices once again.
Yeah, and look, we talked about it before. Like, some laners are learning how to learn these mons without any stacks. That does come with the hindrance of not having as much damage as you can. Mimikyu is here, still level 6, waiting for that Shadow Sneak to come on at level 7, and then that movement is going to be unlocked. Trevenant is just going to try and hold its own with the Chandelure here. The Lampert going to try and get online. Blaziken's going to Blaze Kick this farm all the way back. Oh, it's gone the play rough combination this time around. As we see here, it's gone on in. The Hurricane's going to do a little bit of zoning. This Blaziken does need to get online, killer, but it is doing a great job of just securing all of this farm for itself, as we've got a level 7 Blastoise online, as well as Blaziken is online too. So not too much action coming up in the first half, as we've got both Lekis swarming. We do have a Regirock. Orange Juices have decided to split their forces this time around. Both teams are going to try and hit both objectives. The central area laners are in, as we've got Chandelure trying to secure this. Who is going to get the last hit? Flamethrower is being held. The overheat combination, yeah, and it's going to go to the fire types this time round. But with the Hooper, they can try and head straight up into that top side. Blastoise almost breaking it on 25, and it's just going to have to back out. Great play, I think, from Orange Juice that time around.
Yes, that was a great play. Being able to pick up that basement objective, but then also just pivoting all the way up to the top. You do have Anisus lurking in that tall grass, seeing if they can probably make a move, but I mean, 2v4, there's not a lot that they can happen. Unite move, Gardevoir able to take down that Mimikyu. However, they weren't able to catch out that Chandelure, who ended up making it back home.
Yeah, the gold Gatling missile is going to come out right this time around, as Antaku are just going to keep trying to push. Even though they lost the Regieleki, that Gardevoir Psyshock is doing big damage. The Imprison's going to stop it here as Chandelure is there. But Dive Cramorant is going to go straight on in, chuck the Hurricanes up, and Gardevoir manages to get a 40 dunk in, as Mimikyu's going to head on in, but it's going to get caught with the player up, but Gardevoir is being taken down as well. And now both teams are just going to go back and forth, Kilo, as these teams are just juking it out in this top lane.
Yes, even though Orange Juices were able to pick themselves up that Regieleki, it didn't really give them a lot of momentum, as Anteku were able to fight back and take that tier 1 pad for themselves and defend from that Regieleki as well. However, some walls coming up from Gohan to just block out the Zugrug from making an escape. Hooper going in for a little bit of an invade here. However, the Dive Cram is able to take away that blue buff. No treat for you, unfortunately. Hooper, this time round?
No, the Trickster got tricked himself as Cramorant. That's such a good dive. But again, even though Orange Juices took that top off, again, there's still no scores, Kilo. And so this could possibly hinder that Blaziken quite a lot. Still unable to hit those power spikes that it wants to hit. But again, Antaku this time round, for me, are playing a very nice defensive game. They know they're in the lead. They know they have the momentum. It's only 100 points, which is not a lot in the span of Pokemon Unite. But again, here we go. We've got a bottom Regieleki, as both teams are going to try and take this one for themselves.
One thing we do have is that Hooper Unite. However, they're in that middle section. Mr. Mime is going to go in with that Showtime. 2 members were able to be taken down by that Gardevoir, and Anteku do have a lot of space here to try and take this Regice. However, they need to try and ward off this Blaziken. Great Mr. Mime wall and confusion to block it on out so they can get the secure. There we have it, Lobo. The Rings Unbound has finally come on out.
Yeah, the Rings Unbound plus the Phantom Forest. The Ghost types are going everywhere they can. Chandelier popping its Unite move as well. Orange Juices may have lost the bottom objective, but they decided to fire back as well as they can. Gunfire is doing whatever it can as we get a nice little 38 overcap as Mimikyu getting that 10 points in. Now, Orange Juices, in a blink of an eye, Kilo, have brought this back from being 100 points down to only being about 18 points difference between these two, as Mimikyu is going to be chased down by this Cramorant as it decides to Shadow Sneak its way in. The Cramorant Gold Gatling Gun, and Mimikyu manages to get it as Trevenant does a beautiful job as the tank, just soaking all of that damage for Orange Juices.
Just having that passive along with that focus band, just able to sustain that fight ever so longer there. Just to waste a little bit more time, allow Orange Juices to make it back onto the field. However, looking at the state of the field, considering Orange Juices, once again, were on the back foot for a lot of this match, they now have 3 level 12s on their side and have that level advantage and not much of a points difference either.
Yeah, absolutely. And now with this Regieleki spawning, we got 250 mark. Let's see if these teams are going to try and push for this. Orange Juices might want to try and take out this top hat before the Regiquaza, but Blasto is getting absolutely just soaked down with the fire there from Chandelier as they're just taking this farm. Both teams not super hesitant, but Keeler, we've got the two tricks, the two ghost Pokemon, Trevenant and Hooper, possibly trying to get a double dunk, but Mime has spotted it, and they are going to stop that one. But it's a Mime versus Hooper and a Trevenant. I don't know what much is going to do there. Blaziken pushing out the Blastoise. Blastoise could go down here. The Hydro Typhoon is going to come out at 218 Kilo. Oh my gosh, and it does go down to the Focus Blast from the Blastoise, which means Antaku do not have a Hydro Typhoon. They do not have a Blastoise Unite for this Rayquaza fight. Blastoise Unite so important for a team with the knock-up and the damage that it's able to produce, and that is going to be a big hindrance for Antaku. Again, 18 points into this close battle has come up on the map, and here we go, Kilo. The Rayquaza has spawned. Both teams are in the central area. Let's see where this one kicks off.
I guess it's just waiting for that perfect moment, trying to get a pick. You can see on that mini-map that Blaziken and Mimikyu have decided to go towards that tier 2 pad as the rest of them are just circling this Ray Pit. Once again, playing it patiently. We do have a Hooper portal here to go and get that reset for the Hooper and the Trevenant. Gohan, though, they're going to get caught out. No, they're able to use that wall and confusion combination to ward off Zugrug there.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh, he's been caught by the Mimikyu Shadow Sneak. He tried to pop the Showtime, but the Showtime it was not Showtime for the Mime this time round, as Antaku are down a Mr. Mime ult as well as a Blastoise ult, whereas there goes the Play With Me coming through on the Mimikyu as it gets popped off, as the Cramorant does go down as well. The Shadow Sneak has come on into the Blissey. The Blissey is going to go through as it managed to keep the Gardevoir alive, and Blastoise is going to come on back in. The Mimikyu is going to get caught out. Play Rough is going to be unstoppable, and Blastoise gets taken down by the Chandelure. Great Ray fight. The Phantom Forest is going to come on out here as Antaku are just struggling to find any kind of foothold in this, as they now have 3 members down with Gardevoir and Blissey, the only ones left, and the Hooper has come on bound, Kilo.
Yeah, they're going to go in and shred this Rayquaza while the 2 members are going to keep that Gardevoir at bay. You do have Blaziken locking in the shields for the team, and now they're going to rush on forth and look to take this to a round 3. They're at 288, soon 388 with only 13 seconds left on the clock, and Teku cannot do anything at the moment as they are just going to have to take a moment because Lobo, we have our first round 3 situation of the day.
Oh, we love a good round 3 situation, and I think Orange Juices played that game incredibly well. They deserve to take that to a game 3 situation with how they played not only the Ray fight, they were behind at the start of the game, but they did an absolutely fantastic job. Machisel getting the most amount of kills. Not a very high takedown game, Kilo. A lot of this was a really bit back and forth, just popping damage on each other, not too many takedowns. But again, what an absolutely fantastic game. Not even a very high damage game this time around, and even on the scores, not too high either. But I guess that's what we expect from teams of this caliber.
I think it was a heavily objective focus match here. Yeah, as you mentioned, doing damage here and there, but then you also just have the recovery from the Hooper portals, even, Blissey able to just go and sustain their team. KOs here and there. I think Play Rough from the Mimikyu was actually a really good choice here because you cannot get rid of a Mimikyu once it has latched onto you. And being able to get into the backline, into that Gardevoir, into that Cramorant, and get those KOs, this was some really great plays from Machizzle here.
Yeah, absolutely. Playoff was definitely I agree with you, the right choice. That Mimikyu was not going to be in there to brawl in around. So Shadowclaw was definitely not the option because the main objective, I think, of the Mimikyu was to really handicap and handcuff that Cramorant. And we saw the Mimikyu's Unite move, Play With Me, was used on the Cramorant off screen in the middle of that Ray fight. I think the one thing I think Orange Juices did really well is they held their Unite moves. They forced the Unite moves from Anteku. We saw the Blastoise Unite move at 215. We saw the Mime Showtime come out, but that was instead of how we usually see it played, which is a stun and a bit of damage. It was used to try and save itself, but it wasn't. It ended up getting taken down in that bot side of the path. We saw the Mimikyu Unite being used just to isolate the Cramorant. You spoke about it. You can't get the Mimikyu off you. But the way the Gardevoir survived, it had to use the Bliss Assistance. It had to use the Bliss Assistance to get out. And then the final patience I love from Orange Juices was the Hooper Unite move towards the end. The Blaziken, not the Blaziken, the Blissey and the Gardevoir in the top path. Orange Juices had a free path to the right. So well done.
It was really interesting. I guess Orange Juices, we did see the Mimikyu and that Blaziken push towards that T2 pad, seeing if they could potentially get any back caps, knowing that they did have Roland with that Hooper Unite move in case they needed to get out in a flash. So, but I think the fact that Roland didn't actually end up popping their Unbound form until it was like the 40-second mark or 40 seconds left. And, just popping it there, even though, most members of Anteku were down, just to get a little bit of, extra pizzazz and punch onto that Rayquaza so they could get the secure. But Lobo, we're heading into the banned phase of round 3. I'm wondering whether we're going to see ourselves the same bands as previous match, or whether we're going to see any shakeups here. Umbreon, too much of a threat once again to Orange Juices because of that first match performance, along with that Buzzwole. So not looking to deal with it. It's same old.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Anteku also banning up that Slowbro this time round as well. So they could possibly be looking here so we see the dreaded combination of Comfy Zoroark. But again, I think Orange Juices have been made aware of it now. And there, look, the Mimikyu pick is very interesting to me if they're still planning on picking the Comfy Zoroark, because we talked about it. You get rid of that Unite move from Slowbro, which is the Slow Beam, and then you get rid of the Play With Me for the side of Anteku. So we might still see it. They're possibly setting it up, and this could cause a little bit of confusion for Orange Juices for what they'd like to do, but I like the Trevenant pick here.
Yes, I think picking up Blissey there instead of, say, the Comfey Zoroark, making sure to pick them up together in tandem. However, Zugrug on the Trevenant, once again, it looks like Flareon's is going to fall back onto this Sylveon choice, which I guess didn't really have a lot of momentum during that first match. Maybe we're not seeing a Zoroark angle here. We're picking up Cramorant and Mr. Mime once again, so it'll be interesting to see what their last pick will be, considering they already have an all-rounder, so they're not going to pick a Blastoise. They're probably going to look for a little bit more range, but Machizzle, this is why I absolutely adore Machizzle, because just their all-rounder picks. Garchomp is such an interesting one. It can really be hit or miss.
I actually really like the Garchomp pick here, especially into the Mimikyu, because the Mimikyu can. I really think the Mimikyu is not going to be able to even play Shadow Claw in here because the healing, if you're trying to go 1v1 versus a Garchomp, is just not going to work. So the only option that the Mimikyu would have is to play Rough into this. So it can't be more of a brawler this time around. The Sizzle pick I like, and I'm thinking like when I saw the Blissey, I was thinking we're not going to see the Comfy Zoroark, but it's a very interesting pick. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm thinking this might be a Scyther pick because they do have that Mimikyu on their side. Scyther acting more like that speedster type role instead, providing a little bit more burst and punch. They already have the Mimikyu and the Blissey, you know, for that sustain. So they need a little bit more slice action happening, you know. You want to be able to cut down, well, Trevenant for one. I don't know if you're going to be able to cut down with the Trevenant with a Scyther, but you know, just to try it and get in, even get the secures, because I feel like just bullet punch wouldn't really cut it into this composition unless they're more looking for that slow burn here.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Like, usually we could kind of tell in terms of the items, but we've gone a full heal on the Scyther this time, Scyther/Sizzle this time round. I feel like just with the amount of bulk that Orange Juices have on their side, in terms of Zugrug on the Trevenant and the Sylveon, as well as the Clefable healing, they might want that big burst damage like you were talking about with the Scyther. But we could also see the sustain fight. So, you know, we're just going to have to wait and see. But as the interesting thing that we've got here, Kilo, is a little Clefable invade.
Yeah, they were a little bit too late there. Gonna pop that X speed. Not able to grab themselves that blue buff away from that Mimikyu. But you know what? Considering Mimikyu tried to detour towards that bottom Boltoy, Roland has just started off being able to take a quarter HP. So doing a little favor for that Mimikyu there.
Yeah, absolutely. That Scyther is slicing and dicing the little ground dragon that could, as both healers are going to try and help their speedster/all-rounder top laners try to get online. That Combustion is going to come into that top lane as well. But interestingly enough, both teams have the same idea in mind. We are seeing a mystical fire Sylveon this time around, Keeler, as Cramorant and Sylveon are making their way, leaving the two tanks down at the bottom. And here we go, 4v4. Blaziken is just going to take all of that for itself.
This is why you want to get your Combustion online ASAP in that top path, especially before those first Swablu and Altaria spots, because you're just able to utilize that Blaze Kick to push it towards your side and starve your opponents there. However, we do have Cramorant making their way back down into that bottom path, not able to grab any experience up in the top, but there we go, level 5 Scyther as we picked it. So no Scissor this time round. More slash and dash, more burst coming on out from Enteku.
It's going to be the slash and dash versus the power cores of that Garchomp. We saw how much that just the Gabite did damage to that Scyther before. So this is going to be a battle of the healers, I think, who is going to keep their all-rounders sustained up top. Mimikyu is going to go on in as it's going to get chased down by the Draining Kiss from the Sylveon. A great Whirlpool there just to zone out and get the Mimikyu away for free. 16-0 with 750 on the board. Killer, a big Woodhammer coming through from the Missile. It's going to have to pop its X speed to try and get on out here as Sylveon is just going to put that damage on. 16-13 as we've still got this fight in the top side as there's a 3v1 going down as Scyther is trying to do anything to just get out of it.
Look, this is one difference that we have coming from Orange Juices in comparison to the previous two matches we've seen. Previous two matches, they really struggled to get points in the early game, but the fact that they were able to go and break that top tier 1 pad, Blaziken was able to get in those early attack weight stacks. However, we do have 3 members of Enteku ready to roll as this basement Reggie is about to spawn. It looks like Garchomp and Blaziken have other ideas on their mind and are looking to shred up that Regieleki.
Yeah, Regice is going to stop down here. Beautiful Horn Leech from the Trevenant as Mimikyu has decided to go for that play rough combination. Mimikyu does manage to take down the Regice as Orange Juices are going to take the both of the buffs here. Mimikyu, sorry, taking the split of the buffs. Mimikyu going down. The Clefable Gravity is so helpful here with the Moonlight. Cramorant just going to try and get its way on out, but Sylveon is just going to chase with this Mystical Fire as they have no choice but to defend. And Teku have a problem on the top side. They have to defend as Blaziken is now just going to take the farm all for himself inside that central area. And I love this play that we're seeing. The minute any team has a single bit of momentum, they are just in the opposite team's central area, just trying to get as much and starve as much as they can here.
Yeah, seems like a completely different Orange Juices this time round. 107 to 15 points as we are reaching that 6-minute mark. However, we do have 4 members of Teku going up against a solo Clefable. No, we do have Sylveon and Sylveon here to dash on in and go and defend that pad.
That was a beautiful gravity there, unable to for the Mimikyu to use its dash move like player up to hook on in. It just had to repeat out here, and now they've got backup in terms of the big Fire Chicken and the big Ground Dragon, as Orange Juices have just said, you want to come to our pad? We welcome you. And now, even though the Shadow Sneak hit on, Mimikyu decided against that because you do not want to Shadow Sneak into the middle of a Blaziken and a Garchomp. Orange Juices very in control right now, but Teku don't seem like they're feeling too much of the pressure. They're just going to sit back and try and get this farm. 5-minute mark, Kilo, 132 to 15. I feel like Orange Juices used those first 2 games. They did seem to learn a lot, and now they have a lot more control than they did in those first 2 games that we saw.
Yeah, a lot more control. They do have the levels. They already have a level 11 Blaziken over on their side. It looks like they're going to gather around down bottom path as they're going to leave Zugrug up in that top path to try and defend that top tier 1 pad as a Regirock is going to spawn. Once again, Blaziken and Garchomp are going to go shred down this Regirock with some assistance. However, Cramorant, that sneaky bird, was able to go and yoink that up for Teku, and they managed to get a Regieleki too. So that is a massive momentum change for this team. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. They crashed into the top lane. Maybe it's the right play. Maybe it's the right word there. As Orange Juices have seen what went on inside that top path, and they're just now pushing onto that tier 1. But again, now they're going to get flanked. But Garchomp doing a fantastic job, bringing them all the way to that side. Besides, has to pop a 2-Night move. The Bliss Assist is going to come on out. The Fire Fists are firing as Orange Juices are doing a fantastic job defending the gravity coming down. And Sylveon picking up a 2 KO streak with Cramorant just hovering around. There's not much he can do. It's getting woodhammered. It's getting slammed. This duck is getting absolutely malleted as Orange Juices do a fantastic job of turning a bad situation in the top lane into a profitable situation in the bot path, as now they're in that central area and they just have the Mimikyu has no choice but to back off.
Wow, I am definitely eating my words here after all of that. Orange Juices, they lost both of those objectives at that moment. They do not have a care in the world being able to just scrunch up that piece of paper and throw it back in Teku's faces. 200 and 115. We have about 1 minute and 30 seconds until this final stretch here, so it's just a matter of getting these Unite moves back on hand, considering we won't have another objective spawn for the time being. However, we are going to have Machisel go and land themselves a last second Unite move, making sure not to do that after the 3-minute mark, that they will potentially get it back in time.
Yeah, Machisel's just going to try and chase down this Blissey. It's just going to try and get a score away. Clefable is chasing down Mimikyu as Mimikyu decides to go back in with player up, avoids the overheat, does avoid the gravity as well, as Cramorant is back in there to help it out. We have 5 seconds till the top Regieleki spawns. Orange Juices is heading down to the bot path because it is a Regirock this time around, and they're just going to slam it on down as Teku is going to go to the farm instead, but they are also going to try and take this top Regieleki for themselves. And now, with 30 seconds left on the clock, Regieleki marching down onto the pad, 26 seconds to go, and Teku has just decided to head on in, position themselves up for Ray. Not about 140, 130 points in this game. Where there's a Ray, there is a way. Game 3 situation as Machisel and on the Garchomp is just gonna just shred that down, but Mime could get caught out here, out in no man's land. Nowhere for the Mime to go, but it's just going to put up the walls, give them the vision. 2 seconds to go, 1 second to go. The Rayquaza is on the board, and Teku have gone for the rip.
Yes, you're going to have all of the Unite move being landed on out. However, it ends up being Mr. Mime on the side of Anteku to get the last hit, and this is their moment. This is their chance to go in and get those dunks. 90 points has brought it up to 205. However, they need some more points on the board. 80 points is going to seal the deal. However, we do have a back cap coming in from Sylveon, which means Orange Juices still have the lead here, Lobo.
Yeah, absolutely. Orange Juices still have the lead. Mr. Mime still has a shield. Mimikyu still has a shield with 32 points on the map. I don't know if that's going to be enough. My math is not quick enough, Kilo, to figure out if that is going to be enough. Mimikyu and Mime need to get over there. But again, Orange Juices have the ability to break those shields as quickly as possible with the rip potential of a Blaziken and a Garchomp. Garchomp, they're in that top side. Scyther could provide the distraction. Cramorant could provide the distraction. But we've got a minute. They're waiting to see what the minute is.
Yeah.
They're waiting to see if they're behind. The left side team is in the lead. They know it's less than 100 points. So can the Mimikyu getting a score in here could be massive. The Mr. Mime possibly getting a score in here could be massive. So it is just about to see. This is going to be one heck of a finish to this game 3 situation. The Mime Showtime has decided to go on in.
Oh my
It
gosh,
gets
the
the
shielding
47.
from the Unite! 94 and another 84 points, even with a Blissey's 19 double cap there to just try and bring up the lead. That double dunk was just so much. And oh, look on the mini-map, Lobo. We have a Scyther going in and getting in another 50, another 100? No way! Oh, wow.
Oh my god, and there is the surrender. Wow, Kilo, that... I didn't even finish talking before they decided to rip that Rayquaza. Anteku just wanted to catch Orange Juices off guard.
Oh, you definitely see the play there, which we'll talk about during the highlights for sure. For now, we need to take a squiz at these stats. Once again, very low KOs throughout this match, very objective focus. Gohan receiving that MVP there as well. I'd say that's probably, the objective secures, getting that Rayquaza. But it was just such an interesting game because Orange Juice, well, it was a different story for them this time around. They did have that early level momentum, being able to get in those early dunks. However, they ended up just, I guess, falling flat on their faces during that Rayquaza fight, as we are, probably going to see and break it on down before that. I'm
Speechless is the word. They called us speechless. But again, it comes down to this Ray fight because both of these teams played so incredibly well. Back and forth action towards the entire game. Offense and defense, really great strategies. And we see the incredible macro and micro that these teams have on both on all these mons that they play. We talked about it, world's caliber players that are going to be representing on that world stage. But again, it comes down to this Rayquaza fight towards the end here. We saw Anteku decided to take that Regieleki. That was the initial phase of it. Orange Juices they took down the Regirock in bot lane. They had a free Regieleki that they took topside, and they saw, I pointed this out, Mr. Mime out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And for me, I'm just like, what is it doing out there? And you're right, it's the vision. It was seeing who was ripping the Regieleki. It was the Blaziken and the Garchomp, which means that secures on at Ray. So, we call it a rip. I think that was an incredibly smart decision by Anteku.
It was a fortunate series of events for Anteku there. Unfortunate for Orange Juices, but yeah, it was the vision that Mr. Mime was able to go and provide. Realizing that Anteku, you could see the positioning that they had there. Cramorant just let that Unite move rip. All of the shielding that is just coming out from the team, the buddy barrier from that Blissey meant that they were able to just sustain, whatever was going to come at them. And because Orange Juices didn't have all of their firepower there to try and contest it, they ended up just getting caught off guard. And can we just give a shout out to Sunderlad on a production team to go and just show that recap highlight once again? It just all happened so quickly within a flash. But that does mean it is going to be the end for this series. So and Teku are going to continue through the winners bracket. It isn't over for Orange Juices just yet, as they are going to be sent to the loser side. However, next up waiting, this is the really long name. It's into Intergovernmentalizations, who is a French team, who and Teku will be going up against next in our winners finals. Yes. No? Is it winners finals? Yes. Like, looking at the bracket. Anyway, we'll take ourselves. I think we need a bric-a-brac. Semi-finals tomorrow. There we go.
That is. Thank you so much, Bacon. I appreciate you.
I'm just like trying to look at this bracket and yeah, we're good. But it isn't over. I believe we're going to go into the lower brackets and bring back that mysterious voice that we can hear in the back line there with us next after this break. So we'll be back very
Welcome back, gamers, one and all. We are joined once again by our lovely co-caster, Bacon. Hope you've been enjoying the matches, my friend. We do not have to wait too much longer for our final set of day one of the West Finals. I'm going to hand you over to Kellasaurus and Bacon for this wonderful best of 3 series between Desimpagados, I can't believe I almost got that right, versus Orange Juices. So guys, take it away.
I was impressed by Desimpagados. Like, I'm English. I can't do other languages. That's just simply how it is, folks. Sorry, but Orange Juices color, that's an easy name to pronounce, isn't it?
Yes, Orange Juices. I'm able to pronounce that. I'm a little bit worried to pronounce the other one, though, that I'm going to butcher it. Maybe I'm just going to have to practice it in my head a little bit longer.
Right. Lobo, as you just quickly go away, though, buddy, quick prediction. It's a best of 3, Desimpagados versus Orange Juices. What you got, buddy?
I want a best of 3. I want a game 3 situation, but I'm gonna go with Orange Juices. They're gonna look for vengeance after losing that Ray in that last one. Guys, have a fantastic cast.
Keller, you're in the same boat here. We thinking Orange Juices got it, but on the opposite side, I mean, Baby Mazo always picks strong teams.
Oh, I absolutely love seeing Baby Marza out on the field. So it'll be really interesting to see what's picked up. Otherwise, this is something familiar that we have seen time and time again today. Slowbro not being able to be let out on the field, along with that Phalanx ban. Blaziken and Umbreon for the side of Orange Juices, even though they played Blaziken themselves in that last set.
For me, it feels like Slowbro and Blaziken are kind of must bans at this point. Phalanx is more, people still can't necessarily figure out whether it's strong or weak and easily countable. It's a bit weird. And Umbreon is more of like that comfort band, right? That's normally the same slot you see a Hooper band, or like, you know, just generally what you know is going to be an issue, whether it's a defender or support on that squad.
Yes, otherwise we're going to have a Ghost being picked up on either side. For this match, it looks like we have Kai... Well, how would you pronounce that, Bacon? I'm going to have a struggle with pronunciation. Oh, hopefully. I think that's how you pronounce it. Kaizolo picking up that Hooper along with Maxin. Picking up Sylveon for the side of... I'm going to try...
Come on.
Gatos?
Yay!
Hopefully I pronounced that right.
And the Brazilians go wild at us mispronouncing it. Let's go. But nonetheless, Cramrant's been left until the 3rd slot on the right-hand team. That's wild. It's been Snorlax is in a weird sort of space for the Mazo. What are you cooking here, buddy? What are they cooking?
Funnily enough, a Shifu, I'm pretty sure, is like one of the least picked Pokemon in the current meta, or on like what do you call it? You know, API is that where you look at the meta picks. So seeing Mazo pick up a Shifu, I'm wondering, are they bringing back the Wicked Blow here?
It's gotta be Wicked Blow. I'm sorry, Rapid Strikes are just it's not good. I'm actually bringing up win rates right now, right? Win rate last week. Yes, I do accept the cookies. It's fine. Okay, it's only 3rd worst. Buzzwole and Gudra, you know, taking the gold and silver. Yeah, Gudra. Wow. Gudra, I think, is just one of those, like, it's in a difficult spot because it's so self-sustained, but, like, you still need assistance from someone else, right? Because you gotta think this is looking at, like, your solo queue, your ranked games at, you know, just normal at home. Whereas competitive play plays entirely different. It's a little bit like Mamoswine here. Like, it's absolutely fine, don't get me wrong, folks, in solo queue, but it's not a top ranking defender, is it? Whereas here, we were talking about earlier, Ice Fang, I think, could be the way to really displace. Like, it's such a long CC. The pickup of a Pokemon, the turnaround and throw down lasts quite a while. And top of that, you know, when you got Earthquake as well, like, this could be a kind of sleeper pick, and who knows, Latam, looking at Brazil right here, you know, could be cooking up something new for us.
Mammothine is always a fun pick, but I guess with these teams, as we spoke about earlier on, Orange Juices is one of those invited teams, considering they were our NAIC champions there. Desempregados, they're the ones that actually came first in the Brazilian qualifiers. So, really interesting to see, these teams make it this far. Mind you, we are in that lower side, but we are going to begin our final set of the day. Desempregados going up against Orange Juices, who are on the orange side this time, Bacon.
Great stump by the Hooper there. Roland's just going to have to feel the thunder. Ghatlue, of course, going down the central area because, well, you need to get them to Shifu as quick as possible, hence why the support of the Hooper. On top of that, though, last pick we didn't really talk about, Gardevoir. Pretty standard, a good all-around pick. If you're comfortable with it, Kratos, in this situation, you can do tons of work, can't you?
Yes, it's all about going to be setting up those Unite moves later on in that game. But even then, making sure to try and reach that level 5 where it does, whether it is going to go that Sight Shock ability or Future Sight, which I feel like is a little less common here. But I mean, it'll depend on what Kratos is going to select here. But 4 members up in that top half, going up against 2. So they are doubling down right now.
Another 4 stacked top. It's the new meta, essentially, for the pivot for the first birds. A lot of scores being applied here, but Kratos isn't going to be able to get 16. That rolls is super low. Machisel running the Mimikyu here. That is quite an interesting one for me because essentially it feels like they picked Mimikyu because that would have been a fantastic counter towards this Orange Juices squad.
Yeah, it's going to be about getting into... Well, I mean, they don't really have very much of a backline to dive on into. If they're able to latch on maybe 2 onto a Sylveon. But, I mean, a Shifu is online. I don't think we have seen which moveset it is just yet as we do pivot on down. We'll soon see it. We'll see it shortly, I guess, folks, as we pivot towards the, there we go. It is. It's a Wicked Blow.
I was about to say, if it is a water bear, I will find a hat and eat it just because Rapid Strikes is just so bad at the moment. I'm sorry. It's just that, uninspiring. But Wicked Blow, unstoppable. It has such great secure. Not only can you not stun it whilst it's charging it up, but then just the amount of damage is still awesome for that role. And it is Ice Fang!
Yeah. Yes, Ice Fang, and it is such a fun maneuver to go and use, but it's going to have to really buckle on down and try to latch those Ice Fangs because it can be quite difficult, especially when you have a Mimikyu just slashing and dashing between each of these members with the Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak combination. Does end up getting pushed back into the tall grass by Zor on the Trevenant, but it is going in for more once again, Bacon.
Oh, and it does get the Urshifu. Trevenant now is a little bit back up via the Hooper, but all they can really hope for here is to hold on to the line. Trevenant's gone very, very deep, so will not be able to use that portal put to waste. And these are the kind of moments where you can really see the teams that are so in unison, that have that chemistry, and know each other, because you cannot let that Hooper go to waste like that. It's on such a long cooldown.
No, Mimikyu once again gets taken care of as we do pivot towards that top path, and I guess that's the brilliance of that Hooper Unite move, being able to just, change the objective of the game, which is going to be the Regieleki. Gardevoir has used their Fairy Singularity, not able to get the secure on that Regieleki, nor catch any members of Empregados out.
Oh, this Regieleki is allowed to just walk on in after being pushed back so far. The Orange Juice is now near the pivot, but they won't get any shields, any healing from that goal. Machisel falls through the Trevenant, who now has a big old watery chicken in his sights. Decides, you know what? It's dived a little bit too far on my reach. Let's teleport back to base and pivot to that bottom Reggie.
Yes, we gotta try and get some Unite moves back, considering the only yellow dots that we have are Cramorant and Blissey on the side of Orange Juices. However, Hooper portals here and there to just go and reset the team. The fact that they still have both of their tier 1 pads available is huge for this side. It is going to be a Regirock spawn, as we do have the members just waiting in each one of these tall grass sections.
Interesting as well to see the EXP share on his Pilo Swine. It's not a Mammoth Swine just yet, and that's why, because it's so sort of uneventful still at this level 8. You need to get fully online to really be like a force in these fights, and this Sempragados, you can definitely feel like don't have that frontline brawl that they want just yet.
Not just yet. However, Snorlax is going to take on a big old power nap right on that pad. Just try and create some space, some distraction for Orange Juices to try and take down members of Decembrigados. 2 members are down. It's only the Urshifu who's trying to lurk about, wait for the perfect opportunity to dive on in with their Wicked Blow straight onto that Mimikyu. However, Mimikyu was able to shut it on down and protect that Gardevoir at all costs, as they are going to push on forward and look to break this bottom tier 1 pad, create some space and hinder this Hooper.
Yeah, the Hooper portal as well, sending 3 back to base, hitting them all up. Now they can bounce back. Can they deliver all this damage? No, Urshifu and Sylveon decide, you know what, this farming center is better. We'll wait for the rest of the team to be ready. We'll group up, and then we'll have a second bite of the cherry.
9 points is left here, but the Altaria was able to stop that Trevenant. Nonetheless, they were still able to successfully get in that 40 dunk. However, Snorlax was able to silo out that Pilo Swine there. Does end up getting sent back into base. Still hasn't evolved. 3 minutes and 45 seconds. They need to just go and last hit some wild Pokemon for that last bit of experience.
But the issue right now is that Regieleki is online, so you've got to make sure you're pushing towards that top path. That one little ball toy right in the corner was enough to get them online to level 9. Now they have the Mammoth Mash. It's not the most incredible Unite move ever, and well, the level difference is also showing there. Just absolutely melted by the Gardevoir. Level 12, those 3 levels really impacting them.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, Orange Juices, they do have the time to go and deal with this Regieleki. I mean, we have Trevenant just pushing on forward with that Horn Leech, the double Horn Leech reset to push back the Mimikyu, and then 3 members gonna leave that Regieleki to just do their job, considering there are still some yellow dots on the map. But, I mean, one important thing of all is going to be this Orange Ice, whether they're going to be able to secure it before that final stretch.
That was a very early heavy slam. I was wondering if they were going to just leave it as the secure tool on the Regice. Zuckrock should have it back, but just cannot get there in time. Just keep an eye over it. It's only a Regice, not much lost.
No, I mean, it is still going to give them that HP regeneration come to this big fight. I mean, one benefit for Empergados here is they have that top tier 1 pad. So if they're going to be able to maneuver Orange Juices towards that, that is going to provide a big advantage. But I mean, I wouldn't discount Orange Juices. I feel like they're very much aware of this, and you can see because of their positioning more towards that bottom side, they do not want to give them that advantage.
Zuckrock is very deep and has already pulled out the Trevenant, who does just get out of dodge. Gardevoir's not able to finish them off. Everyone's just being very cautious. You can see the Urshifu on that top path, just waiting, being careful in case there is a back cap, because that tier 1 goal is primed for the taking. Now Urshifu deciding to just go run it towards the second tier. If Orange Juices can figure this out, they need to dive, and they have found the Mammoth Swine. That is one picked out already. Can they find the Hooper? That has got to be the primary target now.
I mean, it does have that Rings Unbound in order to bring it members on back, even though they are quite scattered. But you can see Decembrigados, they're trying to maneuver Orange Juices towards that top side as Rayquaza is slowly getting chipped on out.
It's down to 3/4 of its health. They haven't really elected. They're just trying to put the fear in Decembrigados. Zuckrock on half HP has got to be careful. There's the power nap. They should be able to heal up. Also knock up a couple of Pokemon if they are around. Mammoth Swine back in the fray. There is an Earthquake into the Mammoth Mash. Trying to knock up everyone they can. figure out who is who. Where are you in the grass if you're lurking? The Kremran has been knocked out. Trevman have fallen as well. Just damage, blows being thrown across left to right as the Blissey is removed. Sugrud gets great, throwing it back across the long side of Gardevoir, and that should be Desempregado's knocked out. Urshifu is trying to run. That bear isn't in rapid strikes form, so it's not quick enough to get to the dragon in time, and it will be Orange Juices to wipe that one away. It's a run towards the goal. Score as much as you can. The Urshifu does stop the Gardevoir, but here comes Mimikyu. A miss!
Oh! The true damage just to go and stop that. However, you have Machisel going in and getting a dunk of their own. All the meantime, down in that bottom path, Zugrug was also able to empty out their Eos energy. Did Orange Juices just make a comeback because of that Rayquaza steal? Secure, I'm not too sure whether they had enough points. Racked it up, we'll see. There we go, make it 301 to 337. What a nail-biting finish.
Yeah, I was sure Mazzo's stun onto the Gardevoir right there at the end was enough to stop them, but alas, was not meant to be. Whilst he did stop the score, Machisel coming in with that 50, just sort of like reallocating themselves. That tier 1 goal was enough alongside the secures on the bottom path. A very even game, but it's got to be said, Desempregado's showing, like, whilst Mamoswine is a good Pokemon, it just is not that top tier defender, right? Because it was left too low for too long. It was pain until level 9, and then it started really getting online. But, for you to have 8 levels in that position, I think they might have been better having a Blastoise.
I think because they leveled up so late as well, they only got to utilize one Unite move during that final stretch. So not having their Unite moves during these pivotal moments where objectives are on the map and needing to be secured, and you do require, a little bit more oomph from their footsteps to just go and shake the ground with that huge mammoth math. Even though it's not, a very great Unite move, it still does provide a lot of hindrance and stun. Nonetheless, even though they were a Piloswine, they were still diving on in and being able to defend here and there, even though they were just hindered for so long. But yeah, this was, a weird final stretch here. Kind of slow burning. They went in with their Unite moves, but, it ended up being, the last 30 seconds. And I was very surprised. I know Baby Marzo, they were sitting in that bottom L bush. They were the last man standing. And I was thinking to myself, wait, why did they retreat back home? Why are they not looking at going in with a steal with the Wicked Blow? And I mean, I guess I can see the play. It was the fact that they were half HP. If they tried to enter in and get closer to that Rayquaza and risk, the Wicked Blow secure, they probably would have ended up getting melted despite that unstoppable force that it does have. But it was the mindset of, okay, I'm an Urshifu. If they get the Rayquaza shields, I could probably still stop these dunks. They were able to do that with Kratos. But they didn't account for Machisel on the Mimikyu to come in from behind.
It's bold, but especially, and that's where the smarts is there, right? Because they went to that top tier 1. Because normally in a situation like that, you send one Pokemon towards the tier 1, and the second Pokemon is already running it towards the tier 2. They weren't expecting Machisel to be that close. So going into this second game, Urshifu showing that he's still got a lot of value in this game, and that's great to see. We're going to see the exact same bands again, I think. Both teams are quite happy with what they ran and knew they did just come down to the Ray fight at the end.
Yes, I guess, this is going to be, even though we are in the lower side bracket, it is going to be a best of 3 match. So still a chance here for Desempregados to make a comeback here. But Orange Juices do have that one up. They are going to lock on in that Trevenant once again as that first pick. Mimikyu and Blissey hovering over those. So far, exactly the same same draft as last time.
Like we said, picking up that Mimikyu purely to look out a big counter to what Orange Juices were liking. Remember, folks at home, like Kelly said, this is a lower bracket. I forgot there for a moment and questioned my life decisions because one more win for Orange Juices and Semprigados are out of the tournament. That is it. They don't come back tomorrow. This is them done and dusted. This is a little bit nerve-wracking right now for these two teams.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, there's no coming back after this. I guess because this Unity Clash West Finals is split up across the 2 days, which is why I guess this is going to determine who makes it into that top 8 situation. But it's pretty much pen and paper, exactly the same. But here is the last pick where the magic, the spice ends up happening. Zor is hovering over that Metagross. So look, it's another 3 evolution Pokemon. However, I feel like Metagross would probably provide a little bit more oomph here in comparison to a Mamoswine. Machismachip?
No, he can't do it. No, Garchomp is so much better in this role. Please go for the Garchomp. No. There you go. For me, it's just the dives in can really displace Pokemon there. I absolutely love this in Garchomp. Plus, the rip is so darn good. Machamp, love him, but they are just not like, you know, that S-tier choice at the moment. I mean, Garchomp in a lot of ways is not an S-tier choice, right, Ghatlue? But, you know, it's got its use cases, which is phenomenal.
Mate, what are you talking about? It's Machismachip. It's an S-tier choice for Machisel only.
But, like, in that sense, like, it feels weird at the moment because whilst we got, yes, a Cramorant here, we don't have any snipers. You know, gone are the days of Venusaur. I know Inteleon is banned for this event due to a current bug for itself at the moment. But, like, where's the Sidgewire? It's, like, kind of weird where we're sitting at where those roles, which were strong, 2 months ago, aren't near enough being considered at all right now, and we're sort of getting this very brawly comp starting to build out. Like, I mean, look at the Semprigados, where you've got Trevenant, Urshifu and Metagross there, who's so brawly. Sylveon has really just picked itself up as the sustainable but consistent damage, and then Hooper just absolutely thrives upon putting those portals down when you've got a team of, say, 3, like we just saw there, maybe even 4, to just go back to base, heal everyone up, and then restart the fight.
Yes, I think that's a really good word, brawly. Considering looking at both team compositions, neither of them have that long range damage. Yes, you have Sylveon there, which is that mid-range, Cramorant as well with that mid-range, able to have that maneuverability. But here we go, Bacon. We are going in for our second match. Semprigados once again on that purple side, Orange Juices on the orange side. If Orange Juices are able to secure this win, they will have landed their spot in the top 8 finals for tomorrow.
Be absolutely massive. The only thing I can say here is, like, Mimikyu, maybe? It might sound weird. Stick with me, folks. Trick Room. You know, just go full out brawl.
Nah.
I know it's not as good, but the Mimikyu just was not getting the type of sort of damage you needed from it last time. You've got to just fully commit to the brawl, protect the rest of the team, because who's the Mimikyu really going for? Hooper? That's kind of it.
Sylveon, maybe. I mean, even just
Sylveon's
a
too
Unite move
tanky.
onto the Urshifu, but it's not just looking at taking them down, getting their KOs. Like, I feel like even the Unite move to just latch on up and, you know, stop Baby Marzo from using their Wicked Blow. It's really going to come down to the timing. But once again, we're going to see 4-member push from Orange Juices up the top path, try to secure this farm. However, we do have a Metang here online. The shielding, even though we're at such low HP, just able to sustain that and pick themselves up some KOs.
That's what we're saying. The brawls, the all-rounders coming in strong, and Metang, going to be a Metagross in a little while, is perfect for it. This team, it just feels much more, they're well-rounded for what they're running into. But remember, as soon as that Gibble into Goodbye now turns into the Garchomp, oh, that is when Orange Juices are going to be cooking.
Well, I mean, at the moment they're not cooking, considering they just ended up getting invaded and having their experience stolen away from them. Mimikyu has decided for that play rough build this time round as well, instead of the Shadow Claws. So I guess, yeah, it's just looking to latch onto, you know, the Sylveon, the Urshifu, not look to get caught out. Like, the thing is, play rough would not be able to take down a Metagross, though.
No. It's sustainability. That's what they're looking for, is a little bit more time up and then probably looking to Shadow Sneak either out or back on, you know, rinse and repeat. I get it. Sure, it's not as much damage, but like we said, you needed to change how that Mimikyu is playing. Picking up Mimikyu was the right idea in the first place. Don't get me wrong, Play With Me is a fantastic Unite move, but I just don't think the Pokemon's going into, if it's with its regular kit, is entirely ideal. You can see not being able to finish anything off. Urshifu does take down the goodbye. Mimikyu knocked into the air, and Kratos is removed by the Urshifu once again.
Yeah, being able to get in these dunks as well, making sure Hooper gets their little one. That way they're able to maximize that overcap as much as they can. Now that they've taken care of that T1 pad, they are going to shred down that Regieleki. However, we have a Registeel that is waiting in tow down in the bottom path. 3 members of Desembrigados are able to just ward off this Snorlax and Cramorant from going and starting it themselves.
It's only just got down a third, now a half, and they really are truly ripping it now. Trevenant keeping the rest of the team at bay, and this is perfect for Desembrigados, as they could destroy this bottom tier 1 goal right now if they can just force them away. Heavy slam into the block by Zugrug, pushing everyone off. You are not allowed to score in this goal.
You shall not pass, says Zugrug as he pushes them all off the goal, still leaving that on 80 points. Oh my gosh, a great heavy slam! Knocking him up, making sure that they aren't able to go and get that HP reset.
And that is why you pick Snorlax into Hooper. The heavy slam is massive. The block is a little bit more predictable, a little bit easier to negate and move around. But the heavy slam is the old reliable. Alongside the Blissey Egg Bombs. That's kind of gone under the radar for us. But these are perfect counters to Hooper.
Yes, 100%. However, you know, Hooper is still able to get the resets. It's really going to depend on the positioning. Hooper's more going to have to land those hyperspace holes behind them rather than in front of them towards Orange Juice's side. However, we do have Zugrug being taken on down, so it does look like Desembrigados are able to push on forward, get in some dunks in that bottom tier 1 pad once again, making sure to do that quick math there and able to maximize those overcaps, considering they are now at 212 to 53 points.
Oh, there you go. Into Nightmare Dragon Rage. Just across everyone, trying to deal so much damage, but the Garchomp doesn't quite finish him off, trying to push him around, and he is knocked to the floor. The Play With Me looking to finish off Baby Mazzo. The Shadow Sneak, and that was it. That's the reason why you run it, is the chase down. Not necessarily the all-out damage, but just being able to fall in. Don't let them escape.
No, I mean, the fact that they were able to get taken down in that flux zone and then make it back all the way to that tier 1 pad within a blink of an eye. However, the fight is not going to stop here. A great Hooper portal reset into that tall grass. That way it is undetected by Blissey and Snorlax on the opposite side. Sylveon has been taken down. However, these teams are really just hacking at each other this match, aren't they?
Oh, they are. And they still throw blows. Fists from the Urshifu have now been put aside by the Mimikyu. Garchomp is able to take down the Hooper, and Orange Juices now want to crash onto his top tier 1 goal. But they've elected to go for the Regieleki. Maybe a little bit safer an option. That is, unless Trevenant or Metagross can get into the mix. Metagross does have the Unite move, but the Mimikyu finished off the Regieleki.
This goal is left on 37 points, so Desembrigados probably do want to look at defending. However, we have the quaking ground with the earthquake break from Garchomp to try and defend this pad. But 4 members of Desembrigados are down, and Orange Juices were able to find their opening as Garchomp is finding themselves on that tier 2 pad. With that gone, though, they are able to make it on out and grab themselves a little treat there with that red buff and continue. slashing at them.
Garchompers also found themselves maybe a little too deep. You could argue it's all about the distractions. Tier 1 bottom goal has been destroyed, but Megros as well here has got to be careful. That Mimikyu is trying to get their number. Might be able to dive out, but no, the rest of the squad turn up and say, don't worry, we'll get rid of the mosquito.
Yeah, Rage Ice is here. It is possibly going to go to the side of Orange Juices unless we do have Hooper getting the steal. But no, it does land itself because of Zugrug. But I guess this is the calm before the storm. And I feel like we really needed a breather, Bacon, considering there has just been so much action happening this match. So farming on up, getting the wild experience from those Pokemon, making sure that everybody has their Unite moves on hand. It's only Metagross that is currently missing theirs as we have 20 seconds before the final stretch.
Well, and then Metagross has theirs as well, so both teams are ready for this one. And Orange Juices, for me, they've got to be the more patient team. They've got to be careful. I say that, but Chisel's already gone in. They're throwing caution to the wind, and that might just catch the opposition off guard. But Mimikyu does find the Urshifu, and that is a massive pick.
That is a huge pick, an early engage here as we head into the final stretch. 3 members of Desembrigados are down. It's only the Metagross and the Hooper still left standing. Never mind. Hooper has been taken down, still with their Unite move on hand. However, Garchomp going to do what Garchomp does and go and shred it down with the assistance of the Cramorant and the Blissey. And the Rayquaza goes to the side of Orange Juices. There is still a minute and 30 seconds left. Metagross not going to defend. Instead, they're going to try and get a back cap of their own. However, it's not going to be enough because, I mean, there's still more dunks, more shields coming on in.
Cramorant's looking for another Hundo Burger. Does get pushed away by the Urshifu, but nonetheless, 231 ahead right now. Orange Juice is looking pretty healthy with it. And Garchomp's getting a bit greedy. Didn't even have a shield, but it does have a Unite move and is looking to crash down on the opposition. Hooper, not allowed through their portal. Does have to go unbound. But I mean, I think the Ryan's on the wall here, Kello.
Yeah, I was going to say there might be some hope here for Desembrigados because they have that Hooper Unite move on hand. However, Orange Juice is being able to just bait that on out from them is massive because they're not going to have that ability to push on back. You know, Hooper in its unbound form, it can get those much needed stuns that the teams need. But I mean, they're running straight for that home pad. You do have 2 members down, but Cramorant and Blissey are still here to go and get the defense while Zugrug is making their way down from that tier 2 pad. A great heavy slam to get that knock up. 10 seconds left remaining. I think it's safe to say Orange Juices are going to be your winners of this set.
Orange Juices live to fight another day. That day is tomorrow, mind you, but they had to earn it. It was a masterclass in that game 1 and just how to take the raid fight. Game 2, it was a little bit, touch and go, and they really broke all expectations. Chisel going in super early for that fight, and I think that's kind of what did it for them. Everyone was like, okay, like I said, you really want to kind of play cautious when you're already in the lead and, the type of Unite moves, you want them all clustered together. Instead, Machisel just went, we go now, YOLO, and threw it in. Desembrigados just were not ready for that.
Machamp, step aside. It's now Machisel Garchomp in the house.
Machisel Chomp,
112. Machisel Chomp. Yeah, I guess that has a bit of ring to it, doesn't it? 112k damage. That is absolutely insane. They were just super aggressive from the get-go, which is a completely different story to what we saw the previous match, which, had low KOs all round, objective focus. But honestly, it was hard to breathe during this match. There was just so much action happening.
Also remember, Machisel was on the Mimikyu last game and Kratos was on the Gardevoir, so they did have a change up in roles and it worked for them. Knowing that you've got a team with somewhat flexibility within their roles where they can cover for each other, not necessarily because you're off form today, but just the way you naturally like to play doesn't work well into your opponents, that gives them so much strength.
Yes. Oh, you could just see Kratos with the Mimic U Shadow Sneak to just go and finish the job when members of Desembrigados were really low. And I guess that is the benefit of that Shadow Sneak, to just have that chase maneuver, but also get themselves out of sticky situations as well. The play rough meant that they do go unstoppable, not able to detach from their members and whittle them down. But yeah, it was here. The early engage from a chisel with that Garchomp to just go and get that ball rolling. Absolutely insane momentum coming out from Orange Juices there.
Right, let's bring Lobo back then, because quite frankly, Lobo, you were sitting in the wings. It's the end of the day. What has surprised you most today, buddy, do you think?
Oh man, look, just to go back on that last game that we just watched, you guys were talking about Machisel and how incredible that he played on that Garchomp. Obviously, I was just a surprise with that. Machisel went, no, we go on my terms. But Zugrug on that Snorlax, unbelievable. The heavy slams to dodge people out of the Hooper portals. And even at the Rayquaza, we saw that Metagross was alive and well, had its Unite move, could have come in, set up the Beyblade Arena, and probably made it a little bit messier for Orange Juices. But he came in with the block, completely took the Metagross out of the game. So Zugrug, for me, again, really amazing. My MVP for that match, because I was more stunned by just the incredible heavy slams that he was able to produce. But overall, this entire day one, just the incredible gameplay that we've seen. We've seen strong teams struggle. We've seen teams that we expect to do well. 2-0s, 2-1s. I mean, it's just all over the board. Incredible gameplay.
And Kello, like, we're talking about incredible gameplay, but we've seen so many Pokemon sort of like become, dare I say, meta. Your Cramorants, your Sylveons. What do you think is the highest value Pokemon from what we've seen today going into tomorrow?
Oh, that's really tricky. I feel like it's really team dependent. Who really utilizes what? I guess one thing that we can definitely say is Slowbro and Phalanx are up there, considering they received a ban pretty much every single match. And you know, I'd say Umbreon, same with Blaziken as well, receiving a lot of bans, but also a lot of picks today. But you can't discount Sylveon. I feel like Sylveon's also up there. So, you know, you have those top meta picks that end up getting picked on up in the first selection, second and third. But the last couple of picks is really where that magic happens. And we actually saw quite a fair bit of variety today, which is super duper exciting.
Right. Final thoughts then before we head into a raid and throw everyone over to Unite Battle Hub channel. Let's start with you, Lobo.
For me, I'm just loving the versatility. I say it every time. The versatility that we're seeing come out from this Pokemon Unite roster. We're getting new mons every now and then. Obviously, we don't see our EX mons, and we have our strong meta, but nothing for me ever gets more comfort. It's called a comfort pick for a reason, and we're seeing that. My most favorite thing right now is seeing Cramorant come into this meta. This is a mon that has been consistently bugged and just not been allowed to be played, but now people are just picking it up. And again, we saw one game today of the Cerule Edge. We saw how good of a counter it is in certain instances to, again, a Leafeon that's on the rampage. So I love seeing these teams think. I love seeing these teams play. And again, this is what we're getting before Worlds, which we didn't have last year. So this is going to lead to a much more competitive and exciting Worlds for us.
Your final thoughts, Kello?
Honestly, just a big thank you to everybody involved in the tournament. Congratulations to our top 8 teams making it on into day 2. But also just a big thank you to all of the other teams that did, sign up, whether it was during the open qualifiers and also those that did participate today and didn't end up making on through. I do hope all of those folks that did tune on in, whether it was here over on Ghatlue's channel or whether it was over on Unite Battle Hub, I hope you've all had a enjoyable day of experiencing competitive Unite. But big thanks to Sunderlad for being our production behind the scenes, along with Gamma, who was on the cams, all of our amazing mods, and of course to Shavam and Ghatlue, the brains behind the Unity Clash. Oh,
Well,
and you too, Lobo and Bacon too, for
Oh,
casting.
no.
Right, folks. Ho might be coming next week to revive you, but there's no need for revives right now. The show is still going on over on Unite Battle Hub, who we will be raiding. They're still watching Nouns as they face off against Imperial Esports, and then they've got another match after that as they head down into the lower bracket. Loser of that matchup goes against Hoenn from Latam North. So make sure that you stick around when we throw this raid in. For us here on Ghatlue's channel, we'll see you tomorrow for even more Pokemon Unite action. Until then, stay safe. See you soon.